All right, welcome to Fantastic Dimensions. This is going to be the second run of the Outer Presence, a playtest game system and investigative horror scenario sent to me by Venger Satanis here on YouTube. So I've got three guys here who've made up new investigators, and we're just gonna jump right into it. So Dave, do you just want to tell us your character, who he is?
Okay, I'll be playing Jack Mardell, who is a seasonal tour guide um, of the university and the small historic towns that surround it. And of course, he really plays up a lot of the historic weird tales of the area. So in other words, he's got kind of a mixture of rumor, theory, myth, and a little bit of truth mixed up in there too. So yeah, that's what I'm playing.
Excellent. Sam, go ahead and tell us about your guy.
All right, so I'm playing Alistair Pemberton III, and he's pretty much the same character. No, just kidding. He is a faux exorcist. He is the son of an actual exorcist, so he has a lot of knowledge about the occult, but he doesn't necessarily believe in all of it. What he believes in is making as much money as he can and having as good a time as he can, and he doesn't have a lot of scruples.
He'll go far in this world. Okay, and Josh, go ahead and tell us who your guy is.
Okay, guys, tonight I am Josh of RDD20. Tonight we'll be playing Jonathan Westerly. He is an ex-Special Forces soldier who got injured in Vietnam and went to the motor pool and learned to work on vehicles. When he got out of the war and came back to the States, he moved back home to this little town in New England, I think it is. Opened his own garage, mostly so he could stay drunk all the time and not think about the war. And somehow he's going to get involved in this. And he's a combat-oriented character, so he will probably die.
Yeah, it always goes so well for the combat characters. Okay. So, yeah, the town is called Arkham, Massachusetts, by the way, Josh. So yeah, it is in kind of small town Massachusetts. So to start things off, we'll get right into it. You guys each individually get a phone call from a Professor Henry Bile, who works in the archaeology department at Miskatonic University. He says, I've gotten a call from the head of my department. He's on an expedition in New Guinea. He actually needs to reinforce his numbers, and they've made a really startling and exciting discovery. So we're looking for people to go over there. The pay is good. You'll definitely be compensated to make up for any lost time at your normal job, and then some. But yeah, we're looking for people to travel to New Guinea and take part in his second expedition, exploring this newfound temple called Nafuata. If you could take the time to meet me down here at the university this afternoon, I can give you some more details about the expedition and what travel arrangements would be if you're interested in the job.
Okay, I'll definitely being that tourist season is over with, I can always use some extra cash. And I hear about it through the university itself. So hopefully, because of my ties with the university, I can definitely get a seat on the next plane over there. So I will head over.
Okay.
Yeah, and Alistair, after hearing the voicemail, gets very excited at the idea of travel and at the idea of money. Rummages in his closet, throws on his best leisure suit. Decides not to bring his good copy of the King James Bible, but he brings his next best copy, and he does bring his best cross though, because he's got to have that. And he jumps in his car and heads over to the university.
Excellent.
Yeah, upon waking up and checking his answering machine and hearing this message, Jonathan will go ahead and get up, drink about a quarter bottle of scotch, take a shower, get dressed, jump in his truck. Of course, tosses a couple 6-packs of beer in the bed of the truck. Checks the glove box to make sure his 45's there, and heads on over to the university.
Okay. So you all three arrive at Miskatonic University. It's a classical, it's a very old historical university. It's the main attraction of the town of Arkham. And as I discussed with you a little bit before the game, it is kind of like one of the hubs of supernatural and occult studies in New England, and probably really in the civilized world, really, at least in the West. And as far as like formal education stuff goes. So when you arrive there, it's like really nice old grounds and beautiful old building. You walk through the halls back to Henry Byles' office. He's got a small little office, kind of tucked away. He's not obviously the head of his department, but he's back there smoking a cigarette and drinking a cup of lukewarm coffee and staring at some papers when you arrive. He says, "Oh, gentlemen, come on in. I'm glad you answered my call. I was hoping to get at least a few." He says, "Do you know anything about Dr. Carl Steiner and the Meepi people of New Guinea?"
Sounds
No?
like you got a bad cold there, but no, I haven't heard of these people before.
Oh, well,
Who and the what?
Dr. Steiner, he's the head of the anthropology department actually here at the university. He's a frequent contributor to the quarterly anthropology journal, Culturally Speaking. Have you read it? Have you seen it?
Alistar starts shaking his head, vigorously, like, yeah, of course, I know him. I know, Dr. Steiner, yeah, and his work, of course, it's it's very popular, very popular. What is he? He's who we're going to see?
Yes. Well, he has been in Papua New Guinea for the last year, actually, studying the Meepi tribe, a very primitive people in the Papua region. Last week, anyway, he sent a request. He needs another team of archaeologists, anthropologists, explorers, whoever we can get to help him fully study this temple that he's discovered and how the tribe interacts with it. He says that there are so many wondrous finds within Nafuata, which is what the locals call the temple. In fact, Dr. Harrison in the administration office has a collection of telegrams that Dr. Steiner has sent over from his first expedition. But yeah, so we're basically looking to employ you, the three of you at least, to assist him on his second expedition. It's quite a lucrative offer. I'm not going to go into details of GM speak here of specific dollar amounts because I don't know what the 1970s inflation scenario would have been like and all that. But basically, it's more than what you would make a month's wages at your normal jobs anyway. So, and plus, there's also the exciting adventure of it and the fact that there could be lots of hidden treasures deep within. In fact, Dr. Steiner promises that there will be.
Sounds like a plan, and I can use the cash. So what do I sign up at?
Oh, well, here he opens a desk drawer and he pulls out a little, the little pint bottles of whiskey. It's half empty and sets it on the desk, and then he pulls out a few envelopes and he hands over one to each of you. Inside, it's got travel arrangements and a hotel room key. He says you guys can stay at the nearby hotel. There's a room for each of you there, and Kevin will pick you up tomorrow just before lunchtime to drive you to the airport for your flight. It's a long flight, of course. You understand you have to fly to Los Angeles and then transfer from there to get the nonstop. Well, it's probably not even a nonstop to New Guinea. You probably have to fly to Australia first, and then from Australia. So it's a bit of you're going to spend a good 24 hours traveling to get there.
After digging through my envelope for a moment or two, I kind of look up and I say, Professor, I don't see any, and I make the money sign with my fingers. No check.
I'm sorry. Hold on. And he says, I have something here, and yes. He pulls out a few more envelopes. He puts them over to you. He says, that's only half of the payment. The other half, of course, will be received upon completion. But living expenses will be minimal. You'll be staying in the jungle with the Meepy people, and you'll have very little to spend money on once you're there anyway. So. Dr. Steiner, I promise you, is good for it anyway. You'll definitely get your money. The rest when you return.
I kind of fold my check over and kind of lean over to see if I can get a glimpse of maybe the other guy's checks. And once I see I really can do it, I kind of just fold mine up and put it in my breast pocket. So.
Right.
And Alistair starts to get a sick look on his face as you're mentioning, staying in the jungle and poor living quarters or I should say non-expensive anyway. But then he kind of and he notices Jack looking over at him, and he kind of not so subtly pulls his envelope and puts it into his the inside jacket pocket, and he says, well, if there are souls over there that need saving, or if my talents could be of use, then great, then I'll go where I'm needed.
Oh, plenty of souls to be saved over there. They're savages, But Dr. Steiner has been going back and forth between here and there for the last 10 years, and before he got the formal expedition to study the tribe, he had already established connections in New Guinea. So you'll be well looked after. It should be perfectly safe.
Should be fun. I pick up the check and I look at it rather openly. So if Jack wants to get a look at mine, he's more than able to. And finally, he folds it up and puts it in his pocket. He looks at the guy and goes, jungle ain't no fucking problem. As long as Charlie ain't trying to blow my fucking legs out from under me, we should be fucking fine.
Oh yeah, no, there's no communists in New Guinea. You should be fine with that. You guys did notice, actually, Jonathan was looking at his check at the time, but Alistair and Jack, you guys would have noticed when he said before about, it should be perfectly safe, that a look kind of came over his face, and he kind of swallows heavy when he says that. He didn't say it with a lot of conviction. You don't think he's really convinced that it is that safe.
I think Alistair would almost not even notice it, because he's used to going into situations that he doesn't think are dangerous and actually turn out dangerous, but mostly it's because people realize he's full of shit. So he's able to to get out of tough spots pretty easily.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't want these guys to think that even though I'm fairly young, that I'm not worldly, which I'm obviously not. So even though I kind of hear that, I kind of just try to keep a poker face about the whole thing, and kind of shrug it off.
Cool.
And we have our non-veterans, so we should be all right.
He says you have the public resources of the university available to you anyway. If you want to do if you want to look into anything while you're here before you go, or you can report straight to the hotel if you like. You should find the accommodations quite comfortable, and there's even meal vouchers in there for the local big boy restaurant. So you can get a dinner, and there's a voucher for a dinner buffet and a breakfast buffet. So you get your dinner and your breakfast covered. You realize when you look at that, you look at the name on the hotel room key that he gave you. It's actually a motel. There's no, it's not a proper hotel. It's like
of course,
roadside motel kind of thing. Kevin should be there by no later than 11:30 tomorrow morning to collect you, to take you to the airport anyway. So.
All right, sounds good.
Very good.
Copy that, Chief.
Okay. Do you guys, is there anything in particular you'd like to do while you're here?
Not I. No, not that I can really think of.
Okay.
That'll give us any insight into the next morning. So just make sure to take advantage of that meal voucher and pick out as much as possible.
No problem.
I don't know if those guys wanna join me, and maybe have a little conversation. But that's what's on my mind: getting some food and some grub.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I would do, is head on over to the hotel and use that motel and use that meal voucher and all that.
Yeah, I'm not super excited about the idea of staying in a dingy motel. However, that is a better prospect and getting food in my belly than staying here where obviously the people don't like me. They respected my father all right, but they don't take kindly to hucksters, I would imagine. And the unfortunate thing is the town's small enough that they all know it. So yeah, I want to get out of there as quick as possible.
Well, that's the truth. So, and the good thing is that nobody knows you in New Guinea. So.
Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, you guys can go on. You have a nice. I don't know what they were like in the 70s. I was just a baby, but I know I used to be quite fond of the big boy buffets in the 80s when I was a kid. Anyway, so plenty of food. You can make as many trips up as you want, so get a nice good filling. And rest for the night. The motel's relatively cheap, and it's not like totally scummy or anything like that. You are kind of in more of a rural area anyway. It's not quite as a major city or anything quite like that. So it's not like you don't have drug pushers out on the corner and dodgy stains on the bed sheets or anything like that. But yeah, you'll pass the night.
That's good because Alistar, as he gets to he gets to the motel and he cuts the engine on his 71 Challenger, and he kind of gets out and he's got big aviators on, which look really stupid with his kind of light blue leisure suit, but he comes out of this really nice Charger and he's got this like sour look on his face. But then I assume if Jack is there, he kind of looks to Jack and he says, "Well, I guess it's safe to leave the car here. Should we find something to eat?"
I kind of look at the car and I look at Alistair in his aviator glasses, and I kind of cinch my my duffel bag tighter on my shoulder, and kind of I say nobody's gonna screw with your car, man. It's safe here. Don't worry about it. The things are a lot slower out here than they are in the big city where you're from.
And he looks like he doesn't believe you at all, but he's like, all right, and he does this little does the cross sign, and kind of you can hear him start doing this blessing over his car, and then he says, all right, well, let's find something to eat. I'm starving.
You got insurance on that thing, don't you?
It's like, of course I have insurance. Yeah. Let's not even talk about it. It's making me crazy.
All right, I'll reach over to the door to the restaurant, and I'll whip it open and wave him in. So, is John there too, or no?
Yeah, John will pull up in his old beat up, pickup truck. Yeah, as he pulls in and parks, he backfires a couple of times. And he gets out. He's wearing a pair of aviator sunglasses as well, but he's wearing his green fatigue jacket. He's got long, kind of sandy brown hair and a porn mustache. It's the 70s. He's like 6'3". Yeah, you can tell at one time he was in really good shape. He's kind of let himself go, but he's not like in horrible shape. As he walks up to you, as he gets out of the truck, he reaches in the back, pulls out a six-pack, and walks up towards you guys, pulling a beer out of one, and tossing it to Jack, and then taking another beer out and tossing it to Alistair. It's like, you boys ready to get some fucking food?
I'll clumsily catch it, being just barely over 21 as it is, I still feel kind of nervous about it, So I'll kind of look around as if expecting like my parents to be, or my mother to be wagging her finger at me, Um, so I'll catch it, and then a goofy grin comes over my face, and I'll kind of move the hair out of my eyes, and I'll say, "Hell yeah, let's go! I'm ready to eat." And I'll like I said, open the door wide, and then let those two guys go in first.
Yeah, and Alistair catches the beer can quite deftly actually, and which is surprising, but he's got reflexes, and he's not quite sure if if he should walk into this this restaurant with an open beer, but he's like, well, fuck it, and he cracks it, and he gets this grimace on his face. This isn't the beer that he's used to, but then he quickly knocks back another one. Takes a long draw on it, and then just crushes it up and just throws it on the ground. Totally being a dick about it, and then enters into the restaurant.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you're muted, Ian.
I think you're right. Okay. Wow, that was interesting. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, you guys can go in, have your buffet breakfast, and any breakfast time conversation you want to have before your flight, you're more than welcome to have. The waitress would probably ask you guys to throw away any open beer cans if you walk in. Anybody who has them still in their hand when they walk in. I know obviously Alistair threw his on the ground outside in his classy style. But aside from that, though, actually the breakfast buffet is pretty decent. They keep it coming. Lots of bacon, sausage, eggs. You know, they bring fresh toast out to each of you, and if you ask for more, they will bring you more. Coffee, of course, they just keep it coming. It's typical diner coffee.
So I got my mouth stuffed full of some French toast and some bacon, and around mouthfuls, I kind of turned to the two guys. I guess is we're like sitting at kind of like a corner booth, so it's big enough for each of us to have enough elbow room. Uh, and I'll be chewing and out. So, what really brings you guys here? You guys don't look like the normal touristy types.
Hell, son, I live here. My shop's just right up the road.
Well, I'm third generation. I grew up here. My dad grew up here. I mean, we're from a long line of Pembertons in this area. And of course, we got roots in the church. I mean, this place is my home.
Would I have heard of the Pembertons? Would they have any kind of historic?
Yeah, you definitely would have heard of his father, Alistair Pemberton II. Was a pretty famous exorcist in Arkham. You never heard really much of anything, I don't think, about his son, unless maybe you want to say you've heard something bad about him.
You definitely would have heard something bad about him, yeah.
He's developing a reputation as being a bit of a stain on his daddy's name, basically. He's a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for here? A bit of a...
Charlatan.
Yeah.
I point my finger at Alistair, and I go, "Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, Pemberton, yeah." And hey, wait a minute, aren't you that guy that was going around doing birthday parties, magic tricks, card tricks, that kind of stuff?
And Alistair is trying really hard here to keep his emotions kind of in check. But so you can start to see this twitch that's happening, and he doesn't even seem aware of it. But then he flashes this just big grin, and he's like, no, not birthday parties. That I think there was no, that was Pembroke. I know that guy. Yeah, no, he I don't know what happened to him. He actually did some pretty good shows. But no, you might have heard of the exorcism over at the White Place. I don't know if you heard about it, but yeah, no, me and my dad worked on that one, and well, let's just say the Whites, they were grateful. That place is clean.
I nod in between mouthfuls and I go, yeah, I did hear about that. That's your dad was pretty famous around these parts, very famous. And then I continue to eat.
Yeah, I heard about that shit. Y'all was one of them hocusy pocusy fucks.
Well, you can call God's work hocusy pocusy all you want, but
Oh, come on.
I know what I've seen.
Ain't nobody ever gotten possessed by some fucking demon. People do bad shit all the time. They're just fucking humans doing fucking horrible shit. Trust me, I've seen a lot of it.
And he's actually nodding along with you in agreement, and he's like, I'm not going to say you're wrong, but, man, I've seen some shit too, and, well, I'll tell you what, people pay me a lot to do my hocusy pocusy shit, so they must believe it too.
Of course they pay you a lot. You're a fucking huckster.
And at that point, Alistair definitely gets mad. Not because it isn't true, but because he doesn't like getting called out on it, and he kind of, throws his, his stuff down on the, throws his kind of silverware down, and gets a little money out of his thing, and he says, "Listen, I'm not going to stand for this. I'm going back to the motel. You guys do what you got to do, and we'll meet up in the morning." And he kind of starts to storm out, but just as he does, the waitress comes back over, and she's and at this point he's about 4 beers in, so she's just cute enough that he's going to stay, and he that smile comes right back on his face, and he kind of looks around and he's like, "Hey darling, can you bring me some more bacon here? I got an appetite."
After seeing that exchange, I'll kind of, these two guys may be at each other's throats any second, so I kind of just focus on my plate and, start cleaning it, and don't really say too much before I get kind of quiet.
Silence.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Jonathan, you were drinking scotch last night. You're drinking beer this morning. Yeah, you're.
He's
letting it all hang out.
He's probably a couple beers in. He's basically like switching off. He'll take a drink of beer. He pulls out a cigarette and lights it with his GI Zippo, and he'll take a bite of bacon and then smoke and drink. Take a bite of bacon.
Yeah. The waitress again says, "Excuse me, sir. I thought I told you you can't have open beers in here."
Would they serve us beer in the morning? I don't know. I don't know if they would or not. If not, then I'll.
They don't have a license to do that. No.
Okay, then in that case, I would have been drinking orange juice, but I would have been, tipping my flask in there.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and it's definitely a flask that looks like it would hold holy water.
Okay. It's holy water, all right.
Yep.
Yeah. No, you can smoke all day. In fact, I don't think in the 70s, I don't think you even had to sit in the smoking section.
No.
But she's not too happy with you having the open beer.
Just kind of look up at her, Wank. Listen, darling. I was in fucking Nam. Least I can do is drink on fucking American soil. Tell you what, he reaches into his wallet, looks around, pulls out a 20, and kind of slides it into her apron.
Oh, that'll do it. She'll leave you alone. We'll just try to keep it out of view of the other customers, okay?
You got it, ma'am.
All right. Okay. So you guys enjoy the rest of your bitter silent breakfast. And afterwards, then you can go back to the motel, prepare your stuff. I imagine you've kind of packed basic belongings and stuff for the travel. Yeah, and then Kevin shows up with basically a station wagon to pick you guys up at 11:30, 11:30 that is, in American. Shows up at 11:30 to pick you guys up, put your luggage in the back of the station wagon, and climb on it. It's one of the big ones, the bench seats in the front and back, so it easily sit 6 people comfortably. Fully automatic V8 engine, the classics. They don't make them like that anymore. They don't make them over here like that anyway. But he drives you off to the airport. It's a good long drive, I suppose, to the airport from Markham, but probably about an hour and a half or so. You get there about we'll say you get there about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and your flight then is that evening. The flight's pretty comfortable, all things considered. It's not like first class or anything quite like that, but I mean, back in the 70s, seats, you had a lot more room in the seats than you do now. They weren't cramming people in quite as tight as they do nowadays. They weren't as picky about things like seat belts and no smoking and stuff like that either. So, in fact, I think the smoking ban on public flights came in sometime in the mid to late 70s. But yeah, so it's not in place yet this time. So, you flight to LA probably takes you a good, it'd probably take you a good 4 or 5 hours or something like that. And then from there on to New Guinea, like I said, onto Australia, and then from Australia to New Guinea, you spend a good 24 hours or more, probably all in all, in the travel before arriving in New Guinea. And at the airport there, you are met by an Australian gentleman who introduces himself as Hector. And he says, "I'll be driving you over to Meepy territory and take you up to Dr. Steiner." So he helps you with your luggage, tosses it in the back of his. He's got one of those big 4x4 kind of Jeep-like things. He says, "The road's a bit rough on the way out there. It's not exactly civilized land that we're going to, so the old four-wheel drive comes quite in handy." He says, he shows you Jonathan, you've got the look of a soldier about you, and he recognizes that right away. He shows you the winch on the front and everything, and he's like, "Yeah, this is for pulling us out of the muck if we get stuck." And so, you ever operate one of these?
Oh yeah, man. Looks pretty good. What you got under the hood?
He shows you. I don't know what it's, but it's powerful enough anyway. It's like I said, it's a four-wheel drive, all-terrain, kind of basically Jeep-like thing.
Hey Hector, we're gonna see any kangaroos on the way out here or what?
I don't think you see any kangaroos. No, you might see some big ass fucking snakes or some big ass fucking spiders. If you see any of them, just don't let them bite you. Most of them are pretty lethal.
And you see
I'll crank
Alistair
the window up a little bit higher.
And Alistair would start rummaging in his bag, and he pulls out a sort of a revolver, but like a snub nose, like something a cop would carry, and just kind of tucks it in his belt, which I'm sure, Jonathan would just be like, "That guy's gonna shoot his ass off, like what an idiot." But but yeah, he just kind of shoves it in there and is looking around, sort of like, "Oh, snakes."
Oh, yeah. Alistair, that's a sweet little piece, brother. You get that for your daughter?
and he says, No, I don't have any kids, but he's like, in my line of work, I see some crazy stuff. You gotta protect yourself.
Yeah. John reaches into his bag and pulls out his Colt 45. Slides the magazine in, ratchets a slide back, kind of tucks it in the back of his belt. See, that's a real man's gun, son.
Yeah. And Alistair doesn't say anything. He just kind of looks at it, and he's sheepish, but he just kind of nods and shuts up.
David's away from the keyboard at the moment. I have to ask him if his character carries any arms. I don't know if he does. Probably doesn't, but yeah. So he drives you through the jungle. Some pretty rough kind of trailish road. Just because the trip's been made multiple times by vehicles before, but yeah, it's hot, it's tropical, it's whereas you're coming into the autumn in Massachusetts, it's spring down here, and it's hot. It's probably in the 90s anyway, Fahrenheit. I gotta try to remember my Fahrenheit temperatures. It's probably in the lower 90s, sweltering, humid, jungle heat. And inevitably, you guys get stuck probably a time or two along the way, but between the winch or even getting out and pushing, John and Hector are able to get the thing moving again pretty easily. You do see at one point in time you see a pretty large snake on the side of the road. it's eating something kind of similar to a deer. You reckon when you get a good look at it, it's probably close to 20 feet long, and well, like its diameter. I'll just imagine it's swallowing a deer whole, so it's pretty good size. You know how they have the jaws that unhinge and everything, and they expand, of course, to swallow their food. And it's not a fully grown deer, mind you. We're not talking like a stag, but nonetheless. You reckon that snake could probably swallow a manhole if it wanted to. Hector actually stops. Yeah. Hector actually stops the jeep and says, "Oh, crikey, look at that one over there."
Oh yeah, we're back in the bush. Fuck.
He says, "You ever seen one like that, Father?" And he elbows Alistair.
And Alistair looks at it, and it looks like he's gonna puke for a minute. And then he just kind of shakes his head, but he does reach behind him, and you can tell he's clutching the pistol, and he's got his Bible open in the other hand, and he's just reading prayers basically. He's like, "Oh my God, let's get out of here."
He said, "Oh, I wouldn't waste too much time on that, Father. There's no God out here in these jungles."
He's like,
he winks at Jonathan. He's obviously kind of enjoying making him uncomfortable. Just make sure you zip your tent shut very nice and tight, because you don't want one of them coming in and sneaking up on you while you're sleeping, if you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. And Alistair gets up about as much bravado as he can, and he kind of closes the Bible and pulls the gun out, and he's like, "Well," and he hefts the Bible, and he's like, "If this won't work, then I guess this will." And he holds up the gun, and he's like, "But I'll take your advice. I'll make sure to check my tent before I get in it and close it up." Although, and he looks at it, and he looks at that snake taking out that deer, and he's like, I'm not so sure that a tent's gonna keep me safe from that anyway.
Yeah, good old-fashioned six-shooter, yeah? You got any speed loaders? You might need them. That's a pretty big snake, right?
He's like, "Well, I'm a fair shot, but I don't know. If that thing comes at me, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do."
Don't worry, they usually don't swallow the tents.
John's just kind of leaning back.
Drive off again. Go ahead, John.
John's just kind of leaning back and looking at it. "Yeah, man, kid, you should have seen what happened over in Nam, man. Squad got hit by a bunch of Charlie. And fuck if they did, the fucking grenades didn't take out one of our boys. Saw something like one of them sons of bitches eat half a dude, fucking guts hanging out. God, sickest fucking thing you ever saw."
And Alistair, for some reason, does not seem fazed by dead humans or stories of war at all. He's actually somewhat impressed by the soldier, and he doesn't want to admit it, but he actually he likes Jonathan. He kind of looks up to him a little bit, and he's hoping that he's going to help keep him alive. But he's just kind of nodding like, "Oh yeah, I bet. Wow."
Jack, you feeling okay back there? You're looking a little green back there in the back seat.
I've never seen a snake that big before. Have we? Did they pull us out of the muck yet? And are we moving again, or what?
Oh yeah. No. This wasn't when you were stuck in the muck.
Oh, okay, good.
You stopped on the side of the road to point it out.
Okay, cool. All right, that's a good thing.
Some rare, you get to see some of the local wildlife eating lunch.
So, Hector, how much longer before we get there?
Oh, crikey, we'll be there in another hour or two.
All right, am I the only one that's in the back here, or who else is in the back?
No, you and Alistair are both in the back.
Oh, Alistair's back here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This isn't a bench meeting.
I'll kind of punch my duffel bag a little bit, and throw it behind my head, and I'll kind of tip my baseball cap down over my eyes a little bit, and then kind of start humming like a Beatles tune or something, just trying to relax and seem cool and collected.
Nice. All right. So so after the rest of the trip goes relatively uneventfully anyway. Once you get to the actual Meepy village, you arrive. It's a very very primitive village. A lot of mud huts and stuff like that. And there's also quite a few really good quality tents actually erected around the place. You figure that's from Dr. Steiner's expedition. Um, you know, and he pulls you up and he kind of lets you off kind of near the center of the village. And in the middle of the village, it's now going, it's approaching evening time, we'll say. Um, you see kind of a weird setup in the middle of the village. Dr. Steiner has set you guys up a nice little tribal welcome. He's got a few men there on all fours with their backs straight enough to be used as tables, which he is currently using them as tables, and has a little bit of a tea party laid out on these men's backs for you. Dr. Steiner himself, he's looks to be probably in his early 50s. He's got a pretty well-trimmed salt and pepper beard. His hair is obviously grown out a bit longer than would normally be. It's not very well kept, but it's a bit curly, and it matches the color of his beard. He smiles and lifts a teacup as you guys come walking up. He says, you guys must be here for the second expedition. Welcome. Welcome to Meepy Village. Please make yourselves comfortable. Tea?
And Alistair immediately goes up to Dr. Steiner. He's like, "Oh, Dr. Steiner, it's a pleasure to meet you. Yes, of course I'll have some tea." But you can see that he's actually not looking at Dr. Steiner. He's looking all around the campsite on the ground, just kind of scanning, at ground level.
Off to Steiner's left, there's a couple of the local tribes women, and the tribes people. They're all like wearing basic kind of simple rags and furs, or furs and grass type skirts and stuff like that. They all have piercings and tribal tattooing on their faces and their backs and their arms and stuff. And actually, you see though off to his left something that's caught his attention. He's looking over. There's a couple of the women over there, like making out, and they're basically nude except for their grass skirts. They're making out on the ground, and he smiles and he says, Look at how well I've domesticated these barbaric savages. Well, come on, gentlemen, have a seat."
And when Alistair realizes there's no snakes around, he'll sit down and kind of strangely look at the light over there.
I would kind of stare, and look back at Alistair and John to kind of see what their reaction to this is, as if they may know what the heck is going on, and then I kind of look at the doctor, and I scratch my head, and I kind of follow and walk over there, and just kind of absently grab a cup of tea if he hands one to me.
There's a few of those folded kind of camp type seats there around the kneeling men who are being used as tables.
So these are actually kneeling men?
Yeah, a few men there. They're on all fours and they've got their backs straightened out to be used as tables.
I kind of stop in my tracks. My mouth's open. I don't know what to do. I'm kind of like this. Is he serious?
He gestures, and you see one man who looks rather uncomfortable. He says, "The teapot's there. It should still be quite warm." And you see the teapot sitting on this guy's back, and there's a little jug of milk and a little thing of sugar with sugar cubes in it. And
it's a loony bird, man.
And Alistair kind of...
fuck?
Alistair kind of leans in a little bit to them, and he sort of nods or nudges Jack a little bit with his arm, and he's like, "Look, this is some weird shit, but God works in weird ways. Let's just go with it. This guy's our host," and he's trying to say it under his breath, although, if Dr. Steiner hears him, he's not too concerned. But he's like, let's not upset our guest here. I don't relish seeing what he might do to snakes if he can do this to people.
Well, I don't know about you, but I want my check up front because I don't think this guy's got all his marbles.
Yeah. Jonathan, I think you wanted to say something.
considering these two kids have done absolutely nothing, Jonathan just looks at this, what the holy fuck, you sick motherfucker. He walks over and just smacks the teapot and all the stuff off the men's backs and says, get the fuck up. Have some fucking respect for yourselves.
He looks at you oddly as if he doesn't understand and a little bit fearful as well.
Who, the guy?
No, the guy you lifted up, the tribesman that you just cleared his back and stood him up. He's looking at you kind of frightened and says something in a language you don't understand. And Dr. Steiner stands up and says, Mr. Westerly, please. I didn't expect this kind of reaction to my hospitality. I'm sorry if it seems to offend you.
Hospitality? You're using these fucking men as a table.
You should have seen them 10 years ago. I'm saving these savages. Before I came along, all they did is killed each other and fought over, water pools out here in the jungle. I'm giving them a purpose.
To be your servants or your furniture? That's their purpose?
Well, they're hardly people, mind you.
Yeah,
well, now wait a minute.
We had some people like that say that a few years ago. You know what? You know what that resulted in? The Civil fucking War, you sick son of a bitch.
Oh, well, now hold on a second. Here, they don't pay these men.
Did we lose him?
I think Josh is muted and didn't realize himself.
Oh, okay.
It got quiet anyway. He says, well, listen, if this offends you, I'm sorry. He breaks up. He's telling the guys, like, come on, okay, the tea party's over. Ladies, go on back to your husbands. And the women get up and rush off, as he makes, he says some things in the local dialect to them. And
I elbow Alistair, and I go, this guy's some freak. He's got like a religious cult out here all by himself. He's like the high poobah or something out here.
Yeah, and Alistair looks at him and he's like, yeah, you might be right, but this is his village and his cult, and we're, I don't know how easy it's going to be to get out of here, so maybe let's not rock this boat, huh? And you can see that his fingers are twitching like he really, he wants to grab that pistol because he's nervous at this point, but he seems unaware of it.
And as you say that, you hear the sound of the Jeep driving away as Hector heads off back to back to the city. Beep 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 beep.
And Alistair just sips his tea and just kind of looks. And if Dr. Steiner doesn't seem too angry, Alistair's just going to kind of sit back and just kind of survey the area and just see what's going on and try to blend in as much as he can, so to speak.
He seems a little bit offended, but he at the same time he's not like super angry about it. Like he doesn't look like he was completely taken by surprise or anything.
I point at Alistair's teacup and I kind of go, I wouldn't drink that if I were you, buddy. He'll be putting the next kettle on your back.
And at that, Alistair, he kind of he chokes a little bit. He's like, and then he like spits the tea out. And he looks embarrassed at the fact that happened, but yeah, he definitely kind of just slowly puts the teacup down on the ground at this point because there's no sort of table left, and just sort of looks nervous.
Mr. Pemberton, you don't like Earl Grey?
He says, "Bug. I think I swallowed a bug. Sorry."
Oh, you be careful. Some of the bugs around here are the size of your fist.
I noticed.
So, Doc, what do you got going on?
I just looked
at
the other two. You guys aren't the least bit fucking freaked out by this.
Yeah,
y'all
of
are
course.
acting really cool for this guy to be as much of a fucking freak as he is.
You don't see me looking cool. I look quite nervous and
Mr.
unnerved.
Westerly, I'm right here and I can hear you clearly, sir. He says, there's no need to be offensive. You're a guest in my home now.
And Alistair tries to make apologies, although sort of half-heartedly. He's like, oh, sorry, this is, he's back in the jungle now, and I imagine this is bringing up some kind of memories. But, please, we're out of our element here. But tell us, what was it that you wanted of us?
Oh, did Henry not tell you about the temple?
He told us a little bit,
discovery.
but he didn't give us very many details.
Oh, no. He says, I tell you, this is going to be one of my most important, possibly the most important discovery I ever make. We found this huge black temple in the jungle, just a couple hours hike from here. It's the locals call it Nafuata, and I've been exploring it a little bit with the people of my first expedition, but I haven't been able to reach the inner sanctum yet, but I know there's great treasure within. The temple seems to predate even the Meepi tribe.
And what are we? What's our task, or what are we here to do exactly?
Manpower, of course, exploration, adventure. I can't do it all myself, and well, it's just me and Elliot now. Sorry, had to find the guy's name.
I kind of look around. Do we see Elliot anywhere?
Jasper and Vanessa are gone, and well, Zachary, the jungle killed him.
And under Alistair's breath, he's like, probably a snake that killed him. But then he looks up and he's like, well, I've been in my fair share of places, and he pulls his cross out, and it's huge. It's not huge, but it's a fairly large, substantial metal cross, and it's on a big chain around his neck. And he kind of holds it up, and he's like, well, bring some light into this temple, maybe. Sure, tell us more about it.
And he starts to talk, and all of a sudden you hear a bit of ruckus on the edge of the village, and you hear tribespeople kind of like shouting and saying things. Obviously you don't understand what they're saying, but he says, oh, hold on now, here we go, have a look at this. And a couple of the Meepi are bringing out a tribesman. Each of them has him kind of gripped by the arms, above his elbow. And there's more tribesmen kind of swarming around them. And you notice this tribesman that they're bringing out has dissimilar markings on his face and body, so his markings don't match theirs. He says, see, I told them it's important to send the right message to their neighbors. What they do next, this is a traditional practice that died out a few years ago, until I revived it. So they kind of drag the guy to the middle of the village, and they kind of thrust him down onto his knees, near the fire that they have going in not too far from where you guys are standing. There's a bonfire. They push him down onto his knees there, and one of the men who is walking behind comes up and bludgeons him across the back of the head with a rock, and just like brains this guy and knocks him dead to the ground pretty much. At that point in time, then another one of the people picks up a sharp rock from the ground and starts to cut him open. And like at this point in time, there's at least a dozen of these tribespeople gathering around, and there's more coming. And they're pulling various bits out of this dead tribesperson, and they hold them in their hands close to the fire, heating up these organs and fleshy bits, and start to eat some of them. One of the tribespeople comes over to you, Alistair, and offers you a piece of what you think probably was part of the man's liver. And he says something to you, and he offers it to you.
Yeah, and actually, as Alistair is staring in sort of shocked horror at this scene, and he sees the tribesman coming, he almost doesn't register what's happening until the tribesman is like there holding this thing out, and then he just kind of looks at it, and then his eyes get wide, and he quickly backs up, sort of almost trying to like escape the area, and then and then he proceeds to sort of retch right at the feet of this guy, and he's clearly unnerved, and he just sort of then sort of sits, almost like half falls onto his ass on the ground, and is just shaking his head.
The guy looks at you kind of confused, and he turns and offers the bit of liver to Jack instead. And one of the women of the tribe comes up, and she's offering some kind of slightly warmed meat to Jonathan as well. And they keep saying, "Okuta nabate, okuta nabate."
I thrust my hands out and shake my head. No, 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 and take my baseball cap off my head and put it in front of my mouth, And I take a few steps back and say, no, 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 because that's freaking me out. I want no part of any cannibalism.
Fuck no.
Okay. She just looks at you, and she's offering it up to you with both hands.
You guys take a step back. Fuck no.
You saw some pretty fucked up shit in Vietnam, but I don't think you ever saw any cannibalism.
No, I look over to say, you brought this back.
He says, well, it was one of their traditions before. I simply revived it. Like I said, they have to send the right message to their neighbors. When I found the Meepy, they were almost wiped out by the Kali. Now the tide's turned. I told you, I'm saving these savages. And one of the tribes people brings him like this kind of like big bowl, and it's got like a brush in it, like kind of like a marinating brush, you know what I mean? The types that you use for marinating meat and stuff, for brushing meat. He says, I must give each of you a tribal name so you can become a member of the tribe. This will guarantee you the protection of the Meepy people while you're here. They will protect you from both, savage and beast alike. And he walks over to Jack first, and he mutters something in the local tongue, which you don't understand, and he flicks this brush at you with some kind of blackish liquid on it, really foul smelling. He says, it's quite harmless, I assure you.
I still jump once the liquid splashes on my face, on the side of my face, and on the front of my flannel shirt,
Mm-hmm.
And I, and kind of wipe it off. I'm really upset about this, but Jack, with his thin, somewhat wiry frame,
Mm-hmm.
he really is not the type that is very like overly aggressive at all.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of just screams out, "Watch it! What are you? Watch it!" and make sure he gets none of the stuff in his mouth or anything.
It's just a naming ceremony, boy. Don't worry, it's not blood or anything. And he walks over then and walks over to Alistair, and he does the same thing. He starts, chanting something in the local language, and he flicks this liquid onto Alistair, gives you a tribal name.
Does this look ritualistic?
Oh, absolutely.
Almost in a religious thing, or is it more of like just sort of a tribal ritual, like? Because if there's one thing that Alistair knows, it looks
a lot like a baptism, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, he's highly unnerved at this point. And if it's not something that he would necessarily understand, he does understand rituals. Although in the back of his head, he does remember that, saying this will protect you against the beasts, of the rainforest or whatever. So he takes a little comfort in that, but he starts praying audibly, and seems very off-put at this point.
Then he walks over to Jonathan, and he starts to
as soon as he gets near me, Jonathan pulls his gun out, points at him, and says, "Mr. Colt gave me all the fucking protection I need. Back up before you get a bullet."
And all the tribes people get quiet. Ooh, and they stop eating the dead man. And they stand around, and they start to kind of move towards you and kind of surround you. And he holds his hands up in a pacifying manner and says something in the language. He says, "Okay, Mr. Westerly, I understand. Very well. Just so you understand, the Meepi will not consider you a member of this tribe."
Yeah, and I'll be thankful fucking for it.
As you wish. And he says something to the savages, to the Meepies, and they put their rocks down and they kind of take off the aggressive stance and they go back to eating what little bit is left of the dead man. And as he hands the bowl back to one of the tribespeople, and the tribesperson walks off with it, do you holster your gun, or are you going to keep it out, or?
Yeah, I'll put it back in my pants, but it's within hand's reach.
As you do so, the ground begins to shake. Light tremor at first, and then it turns into a full-blown earthquake. I'd like you guys all to make a check for balance. So I guess you can each roll a 1d6. Jonathan, I would have you roll 2d6 because you're a soldier, but you've got a bad leg, so yeah, just roll 1d6. Well, Sam got a critical success.
Because
Holy
if Alistair is good at anything,
all
it's his
rolled
reflexes.
sixes?
Yeah, dice
Wow,
stream.
man, you guys just surf the earthquake, basically.
Now's not the time yet.
Yeah, next time we're going to
Yeah,
die
waste
so
those
fast.
critical successes.
Yeah.
Waste those critical successes on your balance checks. Yeah, you guys have no problem. Some of the Meepi are thrown down to the ground and stuff, from the tremor. It's pretty violent. And actually a crevice opens up in the ground not too far from the middle of the village. One of the mud houses kind of like halfway collapses into it as a woman comes running out of it with a babe in her arms and just barely avoids falling into the crack herself. As the tremors start to die down a bit, Steiner walks up to one of the tribespeople, and you hear tribespeople running around. They're screaming, they're shouting "Utok, Utok," and a couple of them look at Steiner and they cry out, "Aneso Amavani, Aneso Amavani!" And so he looks at the crack and he points at it and says something to one of the natives, and the man nods and he leaps into the gaping maw.
And no hesitation or anything. He just jumps in there.
And the tremors continue to reduce until it stops completely.
Did he just sacrifice himself?
He says, "Just in case."
And Alistair says, "Jesus Christ!"
This is
And
not good.
yeah, and he sort of looks on in horror at that scene as the guy basically sacrificed. But you said the tremors immediately stopped.
Yeah, well, it was already starting to die down.
Oh, okay.
And then it stops shortly after the man jumps in. Yeah, and the tribespeople now again are saying, "Oh, Neso Amavani, Neso Amavani," and they're all very reverent towards Dr. Steiner, and
Just in case what? One of these days he was going to have a kid?
He already has a kid, you fool. He says, "These are very superstitious people, if you can call them that." Says, "If the earthquake had persisted and I did nothing, they might wonder if my claims are true."
Claims? What claims?
What claims?
Well, that I've been appointed by God to rule the world, of course. He smiles and finishes off the little bit of tea that was left in his cup.
And
We got to get out of here.
Yeah, Alistair looks at him at that point. He's like, "Dr. Steiner, you're playing a dangerous game here."
Did you just say chosen by God to rule the world?
Yes, that's what I told them. As you can see, they fully believe it.
Yeah, I'm going to walk over to the other two and kind of lean down and whisper in Jack's ear first. This guy's fucking batshit crazy.
Well, how are we going to get out of here? We can't stay here with him or survive the night.
And Alistair kind of overhears it, and he's like, "You know what, though? He wants something of us. He's not gonna do anything to us right now. I mean, I'd be more afraid of going out into the jungle. I mean, what are we gonna do?"
Well, you speak his lingo. Why don't you talk to him?
I've survived
Just
in
so
a
you guys
jungle.
know, the Jeep that Hector drove off with about 10 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago at this stage is the only vehicle you saw in the village.
Oh yeah.
I've survived in a jungle before. Okay? I can get us the fuck out of here. I say we shoot this asshole and hike out.
Why don't you just make him call Hector back and get us out of here? Or maybe
Listen,
he's got
guys.
another Jeep somewhere.
He says, "Look, look, look. Let's not panic. Let's not panic. But here's the thing. There's no way that if we shoot him, these tribes people are gonna let us go. I mean, clearly you can see what they'll do for this guy. Like, and I kind of am half aware that Steiner might be overhearing me, but I don't care.
Mhm.
I'm like, we don't have much of a choice here. And he looks to Jonathan. He's like, listen, no offense, but I don't relish walking through the jungle here. Even if you've done it, this place is fucked up. We gotta toe the line for now until we can figure out a better way out of here.
As you say that too, you feel something like somebody running their hand through your hair, Alistair,
Oh
at the
God.
back of your head.
Yeah, and
Maybe
I look
walk
around
up behind you.
immediately.
Huh?
Yeah, I
There's
look
nobody
around trying
behind
to
you,
figure.
but there's
Yeah,
nobody behind you, but you still feel the hand moving up the back of your hair.
yeah.
If you guys look, you can actually see there's a spider the size of a hand on the back of Alistair's head.
I'll whip my baseball cap, you know, and smack him in the back of the head to try to get the thing off of him. Look out!
Okay,
Look
you
out!
knock it to the ground. Yeah.
And then I'll just like my feet are on fire, hop, skip, hop back. Look,
Okay.
look at the
It,
size of that thing.
it runs off into the jungle at preternatural speed.
Yeah, and as it's running off, Alistair's actually fumbling behind him, trying to grab his gun to shoot it. But then fortunately, as he gets
Really?
it out, and he kind of almost drops it, and then the thing's gone. So he's like, "Oh
And it
my
runs
God!"
off into the village.
Yep.
You guys see me almost like spinning in circles trying to look at my own back, make sure nothing's nothing's in my hair or on my back.
Josh, you've seen camel spiders before.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
quite that fast and
Ugh.
not quite that big. It only has 8 legs as well. So, um,
Oh, is that all? Okay. Feel
well, yeah,
better now.
camel spiders aren't actually spiders. They have 10
Yeah,
legs.
I
Yeah.
know. Just
Yeah, and Alistair thinks it's the size of a camel. He doesn't care. He's just like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, I mean, even when it's on the ground, you figure, as it runs off, it probably stands 4 inches tall.
And at this point, Alistair gets a little angry, and he looks to
now are
Steiner.
you ready?
Yeah, he looks to Steiner, and he's like, "So, listen, chosen
He's
one."
he's basking in the glory of the worship of his people.
Yeah, yeah. No, I imagine, and Alistair's angry, sort of because of the crazy situation that he's in, but also because he's the one used to being the center of attention, at least in the beginning.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
and his
you thought
his
you were a charlatan? This guy's beating his
yeah,
own game.
yeah, and his flight instinct is kicking in. So he's like, "Listen, chosen one, what are we doing here? We got to get out of here. This place isn't safe."
Oh, we're leaving in the morning. Don't worry.
It's like, so we're gonna sleep here?
Yes, yes. You have a rather large tent set up. There's cots for each of you. Plenty of room. Mosquito nets and everything.
Are mosquito nets gonna stop those man-eating spiders from getting to us?
As long as you weight them down well enough, they shouldn't be able to lift the bottom of the net.
Hey, you mentioned something about another group that was here before us. Where are those guys at?
Oh, Elliot is still here. He's over there, and he points, and you see there's a young lad, American lad over there working with some of the tribes people. He looks like he's probably about 20 years old. He
Ah,
says,
okay.
Vanessa and Jasper, well, they left, and Dr. Stevenson was, taken by the jungle, I'm afraid. That's it.
All right. I'll I'll head over towards Elliot since he's around the same age that I am actually, and see if he can make some sense of what's going on around here.
Okay. And you see Dr. Steiner is comforting the woman that you saw jump out of that hut earlier, that half collapsed into the crevice. He's kind of comforting her, and he's walking off with her over towards, and he takes her into a big tent, which you figure must be his, and she still has the babe with her and everything. But you approach Elliot, like he's your stereotypical awkward-looking kind of college kid. You know, he's got thick-rimmed glasses, and he's got pretty decent clothes compared to what the local people wear anyway. But they're obviously pretty well worn too. They've seen quite a bit of. He's been here for a good while. He's probably been here at least the full year of the first expedition.
Okay. I'll walk up to him, raise my hand up in greeting, and I'll say, "Hey,
Hello.
Elliot, how's it going?"
Good. I'm sorry. Your name is
Hey, I'm Jack. I'm sorry.
Jack.
Yes. Yeah, I just got here. I didn't mean to
Okay.
startle you or anything, but
Dr. Steiner told me that we had reinforcements on the way. It's good to have you here. It's nice to have somebody I can speak English to, besides the doctor,
yeah,
of course.
yeah, this is a pretty interesting setup that the doc's got here with the natives and all, them worshiping
Oh,
him and everything.
they adore him, and you see in his eyes, he obviously adores him as well.
Come on, Elliot, say it isn't so. Um, I say, what's the deal with the earthquakes around here?
Oh well, it's we're within the ring of fire,
Excuse me, the ring of what?
the ring of fire, in the Pacific Rim, and it's a hot spot for tectonic activity. And oh well, listen, earthquakes are a natural phenomenon. That's all you need to know.
Okay, they neglected
The
to tell
local
us
people
about
don't
that.
put a bit more superstitious belief in it. They believe it's acts of the gods.
Well, nobody seems like they're too freaked out about that one native guy that just jumped in the crevice there and got swallowed up alive. What about that? Is that
Oh,
normal too?
sacrifice is part of their culture. It's expected to appease the gods. That man's wife and child were almost consumed by that crevice. His sacrifice will help to ensure their safety. At least that's what they believe.
Oh, for a second there, I thought you were buying into this stuff too.
Well, I don't necessarily believe in the local superstitions of the local tribes, but Dr. Steiner, he's a great man. He's done wonderful things for these people.
Yeah, it looked really wonderful when we got here, and he was using them for his furniture.
Oh, well, believe me, it's much better than what the Kali would have done to them if they had taken over.
Oh, that's that other tribe that they're fighting with?
Well, they're not so much fighting anymore. The Kali mostly keep their distance. That one that they just brought in, he must have been a spy. He must have been scouting out the area, and they probably caught him outside the village.
The doc mentioned something else about some other workers that were here along with you.
Oh, you mean Jasper, Vanessa, and Dr. Stevenson?
Yeah, what happened to them?
Well, Dr. Stevenson died in the jungle somewhere on one of the trips to the temple, I guess. I'm not really sure about Jasper and Vanessa. They just both kind of turned up missing. Um, different days, mind you, but yeah. First Jasper and then Vanessa.
So, Elliot, what keeps you around here then? Between the earthquakes, the ring of fire, the wild animals, and the angry natives, why are you still here?
Well, the work, of course. Dr. He's a great man. He's like the hand of God in this region. He's pulled these people up from the dirt. He's been teaching them rudimentary farming, and actually, some of them have even started to learn some of the words of our language. It's really quite fascinating. There was barely anything separating them from the apes when we arrived.
Okay, Elliot, you keep on drinking the doctor's Kool-Aid, and it was nice meeting you. I'll talk to you later.
All right, Jack. I look forward to working with you.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks, buddy. You take it easy. All right, I'll come over to the other two guys and I'll shake my head and say that guy is just as loony as the doctor is.
We need to find a vehicle.
He's told me about the other members of the party that were here before us that just seemed to disappear. The other doctor got swallowed up by the jungle, and he's telling me how Steiner's the hand of God and everything. So he's in his back pocket.
Elliot walks over at the station. Wait, did you say you need a vehicle?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure Hector would let you borrow the Jeep if you needed it for an expedition or something.
How can I reach Hector?
Oh, well, he comes by and resupplies us regularly.
You got a CB radio around here?
Oh, no, we don't have any radios no, nothing fancy like that. But don't worry, I mean, he comes by once a week to resupply us. He should be, well, he just left, so he'll be back in about 7 days.
I don't think we got that kind of time, kid.
What are you talking about? I've been here over a year.
I'd like to get the fuck out of Crazy Town.
Crazy Town? No, this is Meepy Village. Guys,
What time
of
day is it?
It's evening time. It's although it's the sun will stay up for quite a while. It's still pretty light in the sky, but yeah, it's about dinner time.
Oh, great.
Although you guys turned down dinner.
Yeah, I don't care what the hell y'all call this place. This is fucking Crazy Town, kid.
He's walked away anyway. He said you guys were weird and walked away.
Yeah, we're weird. God.
Yeah. And Alistair kind of looks at his companions here, and he's like, well, you're right about Crazy Town, but, I mean, the way I see it, we really only got two options. And I don't think we're finding a vehicle, so either we can try to escape through the jungle, in the cover of darkness, which, I don't know, Jonathan, that might be your thing, but I'll admit that's not my area of expertise, or the alternative is we may just have to see if we can make it a week, and I think we're going to have to go to that temple that Steiner was talking about. I mean, I don't know. Can it be any crazier than here?
I have no idea, but you really want to see some temple that fucking crazy asshole wants you to see. Way I figure, we drove 2 hours to get here. Couldn't go very fast. We're probably about 60 miles from the airport. We drove due west. I got a compass in my bag.
And Alistair's just shaking his head, and he's like, "There's no way. They're not gonna let us out of here. Look at this place. I mean, he's got this place in his pocket, like, and he already knows that we're on edge. There's just no way."
You're pretty sure that you smell bacon? That unmistakable smell of bacon frying not too far away. Smells good.
Yeah, and at that, Alistair knows what's going on here, and you can see him like, and he kind of,
Are you okay?
I was like, and he's just holding his head, shaking his head, and is like, listen, I got to turn in. I can't handle any more of this. And he starts walking over to his tent and looking for snakes the whole time.
Oh yeah, okay. Jonathan, you know the smell of cooking human flesh. It's not that. It's actual bacon, just so you know.
That ain't human. That's real bacon.
He's like, and as Alistair's walking away, he's like, look, you eat whatever you want, but no, I ain't touching that.
I ain't going to eat none of these crazy assholes either. Now I start looking around for a snake.
I'll bite. I'm wondering who's cooking bacon, and you said it's nearing evening, right?
Yeah, it's coming from the tent where the doctor went to.
With the lady? Okay. I'll kind of casually walk over there and kind of peek into the tent, see what I see.
And the doctor's sitting there. He's got a nice cushioned seat there, and he says, "Oh," he says, "Jack, come on in. Are you hungry?" And you see the woman's over there. She's he's got like a kind of a basic stove thing set up there, wood burning cooking stove, and she's there like literally frying bacon and eggs. So come
Um,
on in, Jack.
I'll kind of hesitantly walk in and I'll what is this is his tent furnished at all?
Yeah, yeah. He's got a mosquito net up around his bed too, but his bed obviously looks like it was probably constructed locally, but I mean he's got like it's piled up with furs and pillows and stuff. He's been here a long time, so he's been able to import lots of stuff. Um, it's definitely would be the most lavish domicile in the village. Um, he's got a desk in there with a nice oil burning lamp on it and lots of paper and ink and quill. Um, he's got an upright mirror in one corner, which you can see a reflection of the woman cooking the bacon in from where you're standing. Um, the baby is kind of playing around on the bed right now with some kind of looks like a doll carved out of a stick.
Okay.
He says, "Would you like a drink?" He's like, "I'm a Scotchman myself. I've got quite a few bottles of it still left around here, and Hector should be bringing me more next week." He says, "I don't have any ice, I'm afraid, so you'd have to drink it neat."
No, 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 thanks. That's more of a Jonathan's thing. But
Something tells me that man won't be coming to my tent for drinks anytime soon. What's with that
well,
guy?
I shrug and I say, well, we're just feeling a little. Maybe it was the long flight over here and dealing with this other the tribes people around here. It's just different, strange, Not my normal thing.
Oh, I can understand. I can understand that with you and Alistair, perhaps. I would think Jonathan, he'd know the ways of the jungle, but maybe he's forgotten.
Mm.
Maybe his retirement's made him soft.
I was talking to the other kid, Elliot. He's the other kid here you got here around my age. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, Elliot Richelieu. He's a good kid, Elliot.
Yeah, and he was telling me a little bit about the temple. He says he's been here for over a year. What have you guys been doing for that long?
Well, we were studying the tribe. That's what we were here for. That's what the expedition was funded for.
Oh, not the
Scouring the
temple, the actual tribe?
Oh yeah, no, we came here for the meepy, but the temple was an added bonus.
I thought you guys always like to keep the not mingle too much with the natives and try to preserve their culture and stuff. It looks like you're trying to turn them into well, he's not from America. He's from England, I guess, or what? Is he
Um,
American?
he actually is American, but
He is American. Okay.
he's a bit of an Anglophile.
Okay. All right. Okay. You're turning them into stars and bars lovers.
He says, "Listen, son, this isn't Star Trek. We don't have any prime directive out here."
Hmm.
He says, "If it weren't for the intervention of me and my team, these people would have been wiped out by the Kali probably close to a year ago."
Well, how much longer are you planning on staying out here?
As long as it takes to break that inner sanctum and find out what lies within that temple. It's something big, I tell you. I guarantee you. It's going to make us all rich.
And these people don't mind you busting up their temple like that?
Oh, it's not their temple. Meepi,
No,
the Meepi seem to have known of its existence, but they never went there.
not their temple. So whose temple is it?
Well, from research that myself and Dr. Stevenson had done briefly, it seems to predate the earliest human the earliest human populations on this island. So we don't know whose it is. It's a bit of a mystery, like Stonehenge or Easter Island.
Mm.
Sam, you're cracking me up in the chat.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, Doc. Well, I'm getting a little tired, so I guess I'm gonna turn in. So I'll
Well,
talk
don't you
to you
want
in the
some
morning.
bacon and eggs? I got
No, no,
plenty.
thanks. My stomach's
Killed
kind
a
of
pretty
queasy
good
from
sized
the
boar there last week, and
from.
I got enough bacon to last for a month.
No, I think the earthquake kind of upset my stomach a little bit, so I think I'll just turn in. Thanks, though.
Well, I have an open door policy. If you ever need anything, just let me know.
All right, now I'll rush out of there and head to the tent, to my tent.
Okay. Alistair, you went to the tent already, so when you get there, you realize it's not as lavish as Dr. Sanders' tent, of course, but it's pretty decent. It's a nice, big, like almost military style tent. You know what I mean? It'd be for housing multiple men. Um, you guys each have cots with, relatively thin mattresses, but they're mattresses nonetheless. The springs aren't too bad on them, and there's a cooking stove in here as well, a wood burning cooking stove with some wood beside it. You guys also have a table with a few of those folding chairs around it, and there's an oil lantern sitting on top of it, and the oil is full. Um, there's chests in there, one at the foot of each cot that you can put your personal belongings into easily, and rather large mosquito nets with weights on the bottom of them surrounding each tent or surrounding each cot. I'm sorry.
All right, and Alistair's kind of put his stuff in the tent, but he's hung on to that envelope that he was given, and he's rifling through it, and he's just looking, he's just counting the bills that are in there over and over again, and just shaking his head, clearly like, man, God, I hope that we get the second half of this, because he's starting to realize that he's way over his, way out of his element here.
Starting to think that a couple months' salary wasn't worth it.
Yeah, not sure yet. But yeah, I mean, and so if the rest of the party is sort of in the tent at this point, I mean, he kind of looks to Jack and to Jonathan, and he's like, gentlemen, I don't know about you, but I don't think I'm going to be getting any sleep tonight.
Well, just before you say that, I'll just say Jonathan will be the last to come in. Actually, Jack comes in before Jonathan. Jonathan comes back in. Go ahead and describe your arrival, Jonathan. You found what you were looking for anyway, I'd say. So.
Yeah. Jonathan walks in with this roughly 6 foot long snake being dragged behind him. His head's cut off. And he looks at you guys. He cuts off the tail and quickly pulls its skin off and starts to start a fire. Guys, I got food. I got supper.
There's no way I'm putting that in anywhere close to my mouth. Thanks, but no thanks.
And Alistair looks at it, and he looks at Jack, and he realizes, okay, this is a dead snake, so he's okay with that. And he's like, so, Jonathan, you've eaten snake before?
Hell, I've eaten snake, roaches, ants, termites.
Ugh. And
in the fucking jungle, you eat what you can fucking get.
And snake tastes all right. And just as he says that, you can hear this big rumble in his stomach. He's fighting it. He doesn't want to do it, but man, he's hungry.
I'll tell you what, son. Everyone else tell you snake tastes like chicken. Snake don't taste like nothing but fucking snake. However, when you're fucking hungry, it'll fucking hit the spot.
Yep. And he just kind of nods his head and sort of sits down on his cot, and he's sort of is like, all right, like he'll have some. Assuming Jonathan will.
Yeah, Jonathan flips all the burners off the wood stove, starts a fire, and starts to roast this snake.
As you're sitting there and starting to eat the snake, Alistair, it doesn't taste too bad. Have you ever eaten snake before, Josh?
Yeah, I've eaten rattlesnake.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
It works when you're hungry.
Exactly. It's a lot better than eating human flesh anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, As you're reading it, though, a few thoughts come to your mind, Alistair. You think back on some of the tales you've heard about primitive cultures and tribes that would eat the hearts and flesh of their enemies to gain their strength and to overcome their fear of their enemies. And this is something that you're thinking as you feared the snakes, and now you're eating a snake, and you momentarily feel a little bit empowered. And then you just can't help but think about the Meepi and their natural enemy, the Kali, and then you think about the tribespeople eating that man in the middle of the village and offering you the liver.
Yeah, and you know the shocking sort of, or the shock that I initially felt, it somewhat diminishes a little bit as I realize that it's not all that out of character for them. But what I'm realizing is that you know, there's a natural order to things, and right now I don't totally understand what's going on, but yeah, I'm starting to think that, you know, I'm in over my element, but in over my head, but at the same time, I'm feeling a little bit better as I realize that it's not totally out of character for these people to do this.
Jack, you're not eating nothing, no?
Screw that. No way, man.
Going hungry tonight.
That's right.
Okay. So dinner time passes, and it's probably about time to hit the hay. You guys are supposed to be leaving in the morning to head to that temple.
Yeah, right before we hit the hay, though, I do a classic jungle or woods thing to keep predators away. I take all the last bits of the meat from the snake and throw them as far out in the woods as I can.
Okay.
Then head back and make sure everything's secure and hit the cot.
Jonathan will sleep no problem, yeah, I presume. He's seen worse shit before.
Oh yeah, he'll sleep fine.
How about Jack and Alistair?
Alistair, no, he's trying to, and you actually you see he's got his Bible open, but you can kind of catch a glimpse, and you see that there are actually other pages inside the Bible, and you realize that he's actually reading like a you know, Flash Gordon, like a comic kind of thing, and he's trying to calm down, and he's got you know, like on the top of his footlocker. You know, he's got the gun is there, and he actually grabs the gun and kind of puts it up on his bed next to him, and then, not even really caring what the other guys are going to think, he kind of gets up and he just starts pacing.
Okay, stepping out from under the mosquito net then.
Yeah, unless he's getting eaten alive, then he'll go back under.
Yeah, you'll get bit a bit. I mean, it's nighttime now too, and with the lantern going on the table not too far from you, they'd be attracted to the light. So,
all right. Once it becomes unbearable, he'll stay back in his mosquito net, and then you'll hear him start praying.
What about Jack?
Jack was he's kind of getting impatient. He was hoping that Alistair would go to sleep like it looked like John did after they ate, but he's kind of watching Alistair walk and pace back and forth and everything, you know, wishing that he'd go ahead and go to sleep so that he can get up and possibly sneak out of the tent and see if there's some more bacon left, because his stomach's grumbling like crazy.
Yeah, it's the middle of the night now anyway, probably, you figure. Actually, you
if it
probably have a
doesn't
watch. If you have a watch, you know it's after midnight now.
if it doesn't look like Alistair's going to settle down anytime soon and go to sleep, then he kind of gets frustrated and says screw it, and he turns over on his side and tries to go to sleep.
Okay. As he does that, and just after Jack goes to sleep, Alistair, you hear a sound. Sounds like, you know, a crunching sound, like somebody walking outside of your tent.
And I will kind of reach for my gun and I'll hold it. And I am assuming that we've all dimmed the lights. I mean, I'm assuming it's dark in here at this point. But I'll be holding the gun out in front of me, kind of shaking a little bit. And I turn the light on or the lantern or whatever it is up just a little bit, just so I can see, and just wait to see if this noise materializes into anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, after a minute you hear a psst, psst, white men. Okuta, white men. Psst, are you awake?
And I'm assuming Jonathan and Jack don't wake up at that?
No, they don't. It's very quiet, actually.
Okay. I kind of come out from under the net, and I stand, if I can, I want to kind of stand near to Jonathan's bed, as near as I can, but then I whisper out, "Yes, I'm awake."
He says, we must talk. May I come in?
And Alistair hesitates for a minute, and his hand is shaking even more at this point when he's holding the gun, and he realizes this is a bad idea. Somebody might get shot, so he decides, all right, I'm going to see what happens. So he puts the gun kind of shakily back into his pocket, and then he says, "Sure, come on in."
Okay, and the tent flap starts to zip, and that'll wake Jonathan up. Because he's got that soldier sense, and as soon as somebody starts to unzip the flap to the tent, yeah, that wakes you up right away, John.
Oh yeah,
and Jonathan snaps up.
Jonathan snaps up, his gun's out, pointed at the opening to the tent. What the fuck's going on?
And Alistair's just stepped out of the way, and he's waiting to see what happens. Not ducked out of the way, but moved aside so that there's a clear line of fire if there needs to be.
Who goes there?
This guy is, he's wearing the traditional kind of local dress. He's got the tattoos and the piercings and everything as well, but he's also got braided and long hair. It's very white, and he's got a bit of a kind of a somewhat of a headdress on as well. He looks different from the other tribespeople that you've seen in this way. He's much more decorated. And he turns and he sees Jonathan pointing the gun at him, and he instinctively just kind of puts his hands up and says, "I mean you no harm, white man. I've come to tell you things." His English is broken, of course. He's not a native speaker, but obviously he's, the first person you've heard really that's not from America speak any extended English here. So.
Okay. Alistair, wake Jack up.
And Alistair does. He goes over and kind of shakes him. Jack, get up.
Okay, I'll kind of start awake and swing my feet over the side of the bed and kind of still stay behind the mosquito netting and kind of look out to see what's going on, and kind of gasp when I see the native.
Yeah, you guys also notice there's a pretty pungent smell coming off him at the moment. Not sure what it is. It's rather foul. His skin is kind of glistening in the lantern light as well, as if it's oily or something.
Is he sweating?
Possibly, but you don't see any beads on his forehead or anything of that sort. But.
And
well,
the
you
foul,
smell like horse shit.
Yeah, the foul stench starts to freak Alistair out a little bit, only because, despite being a huckster, he actually has witnessed a real exorcism. when his father performed one, and this is not exactly the same thing, but he remembers that horrible smell, and so it's making him nervous.
Yeah. He says, "Oh, it's ointment keeps the bites away. Meepy recipe. I can
And
bring
now
you some if you wish."
no.
I think mud will work fine.
Yes. Well, sleep under nets if you wish, like trapped animals. I've come to warn you.
Warn us of what? Alistair says.
The man who calls himself the Hand of God.
I told you.
He's a dangerous man. You see the way he treats our people. He's given them many things, but he has taken things as well. He unleashes his appetites upon our women. He uses our men sometimes for his own sport, pitting them against each other in mortal combat.
Yeah, we've kind of gathered that he's a dick.
Before he came, I was spiritual leader of Meepy people. I am what you would call medicine man.
And Alistair looks at him and he says, there's a lot more of you guys than there are of him. Why hasn't anybody done anything?
The unfortunate fact is, before he came with his people and technology, the Kali tribe almost eliminated our people. We were on the way out. It is nature's way. The Kali were stronger. But he and his people came. They brought weapons and taught the Meepy how to make better weapons, taught the Meepy how to make better food. The Kali stayed distant because they were afraid of these foreign devils. Eventually, the Meepy people fought back, and now the Kali fear us.
Well, speaking from personal experience, you don't necessarily have to be the stronger force to win a war. Sometimes superior tactics can do it.
Yes, that was the way with the Meepy and the Kali. The woman from his team, they had a relationship. They slept in the same bed. He was very abusive to her. One night they go to temple alone, but only he come back. Blood on his shirt, I saw it myself, black in the moonlight.
So you think he killed the girl he was fucking?
Yes. They say he has a wife at home. Here he has anyone's wife that he wishes. And he looks kind of disgusted as he says that. The man who he convinced to throw himself into the pit today, his wife and child now sleep in the doctor's tent.
Well, brother, ain't nothing new about that one.
Another man was with him. Another doctor. I think they were enemies. They fought. Dr. Steiner and this Dr. Stevenson. The Meepy people killed Stevenson and ate him.
At Dr. Steiner's bidding?
Well, he has never admitted such, but yes, the Meepy people had stopped eating the flesh of men years ago, until Dr. Steiner convinced them that it would give them strength over their enemies.
And during all of this, have you or any of your people done any rituals or anything to your old gods to try to stop this, or even to try to gain more power?
The Meepy have turned away from our gods. They now see Steiner as the hand of his god. They believe him when he says he will rule the world. They wish to stay in his favor. They have turned their backs on me and my medicines even. They only come to me when they must. You must be careful, because if you are a threat, seen as threat to the doctor, then perhaps you will meet the same fate as Dr. Stevenson.
I can tell you right now, that sick son of a bitch ain't gonna be ruling nothing. Definitely not the world. Last person tried to rule the world. America rolled in, shut down his death camps, and put a bullet in his fucking head.
I do not know this story. It has not been passed down amongst my people. Then there was the other boy, like the one Elliot, who's here now. Another one, his name Jasper. He also went to temple with Dr. Steiner. He ran screaming into the jungle, never came back. Every month for the last year, Steiner brings one of my people to the temple and they never come back. I do not know what lies within Nafuata, but perhaps you would like to know that Nafuata, in our language, means evil secrets. There is a legend amongst my people that long ago a black thing fell from the sky, shattering into many pieces. These pieces were scattered all over the island. They say it came from another world. The temple, Nafuata, has been here longer than any of our stories. You may take of this what you will.
And Alistair is trying to think if he would recognize any kind of common stories or common sort of threads, within, whether it was religious or occult history, that might give him any insight into, maybe what this is, or if there's any logical explanation for it.
Well, logical explanation, I don't know about so much, but you've heard stories, more conspiracy stories and weird late night TV programs talking about the pyramids in Egypt, and some crackpot theories that they were actually built by an alien race, and about UFOs and spacecraft and things of that sort. But I'm sure you never believed in any of that shit. So.
Right.
Nothing's ever kitten shit and rainbows with you fuckers, is it?
And I looked to the native. Did he never gave us his name, did he?
No.
No. I look to him and I say, well, why are you telling us this?
Because I've seen what happens to those who go to this temple with the doctor. I come to warn you.
Can you help us avoid
There
going
is
there?
a saying. It was saw in one of the books that Eliot showed me when he was teaching me your language. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. You showed no love for Dr. Steiner yesterday. I share your feelings.
Let me pose you a question. If I put a bullet in Steiner, can you get your people under control?
I do not know. It may be very difficult. But if you put a bullet in Steiner, I suggest you do it where the Meepi do not see you.
He means the temple.
There are hundreds of Meepi. No matter how many guns you have, they would overpower you eventually. No, if you put a bullet in Steiner right now, I think they would simply make Eliot their new god after they have eaten the flesh from your bones.
Not if I sneak into his tent right now and stick a knife into his back.
He is guarded by Meepi. There are warriors who sleep within his tent. They are forced to witness the horrible things which he does to our women. They seem to take appetite from it, and I've heard stories of them visiting horrors upon their own wives afterwards.
Oh shit. I ain't exactly got access to a Delta Force team.
I must go now. He often walks the village at night. He does not sleep well.
Alone?
Usually he has tribesmen watching him from the shadows. Meepi are very skilled hunters. We lived in the jungle long before he came.
Copy that.
And with that, he stands up and he goes to walk out.
And I'll let him walk out. But then I look over to Jonathan and I say, well, it's clear that we can't fight our way out of here. It's clear that we can't necessarily count on that guy to sneak us out. I think, unfortunately, we're going to have to go to this temple, but I'm curious if Steiner's walking the village at night, what he might be doing. And being that he and Alistair, you can tell he's letting down his guard a little bit. Is being that he has similar effect on the people that he interacts with that I do. We speak the same language, at least in a strange way. Maybe I can get close to him. Maybe I can kind of find out more. And I'm thinking, you must have been fairly skilled at hiding and sneaking around when you were in Nam. Maybe you can kind of accompany us and stay in the shadows and see if we can discover something before we go to this temple. What do you think?
Spent a few nights in the jungle. Might not be as good as these me's or whatever the fuck they're called. But I can hide pretty well. If I had a rifle, I could probably take the bastard out.
You
Yeah,
guys are going to go out there in the middle of the night and talk to this guy? Are you crazy?
And Alistair's like, listen, all paths are leading us to this temple. If there's anything that we can find out, anything that I can ascertain about this guy before we go there, I think it's worth the risk. I mean, clearly he wants us to go there, so I don't see us in much danger right now. And as long as we don't do anything to piss him off or to make him think that we're a threat, right now we're not in danger. But if we go to that temple unprepared, that's obviously a place people go to die.
I kind of bunch up the mosquito netting, in my hands, and I swallowed a lump in my throat, which you guys can hear very easily. And I say, well, uh, you guys go ahead. I don't think I can go back in that tent of his. It just didn't feel right.
I say, that's fine. Nothing feels right about this place. But it might be worth, if you can, at least keep an eye on that tent. See what happens when he's gone. If the guards are still there, if anything strange seems to happen. If you think you're up for it.
I'll kind of nod and okay, I'll see what I can do.
Excellent. And so, I mean, I'll at this point, I'll head out of the tent and see if it's true, if I can see Dr. Steiner, if he's walking around the village at all, if there's any kind of indication where he might be.
Yeah, okay. I was muted again. Yeah, you're almost immediately getting eaten alive again by spiders, just so you know.
By spiders?
Spiders, sorry, mosquitoes. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's spiders out there too, but you can't see them. It's dark.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sorry, Josh, you're asking if you'd have been able to get a suppressor over here. Suppressor would have been illegal, so no, you wouldn't have been able to get on the flight, I don't think.
Actually, they weren't illegal in the 70s.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, a lot of NAM vets and even far back as World War II vets came back with them.
Okay, well, sure. No worries. Even if not, you could have probably made one. So, yeah, you do see the doctor. He's pacing around the middle of the village, actually, around in the bonfire pit, which is still going. Still a fire going there. And you can see his skin is kind of glistening as well, and he's got that same pungent smell.
All right. And I'll kind of slowly approach him. And as I get closer to him, I'm cognizant of the guards and if they are kind of giving off a hostile sort of stance to me. But I slowly try to approach him, and as I catch his eye, I look at him and kind of put a smile on my face and say, Dr. Steiner, can I speak to you for a minute?
Of course. You can't sleep either, huh?
No, it's the jungle's not my thing, and as good as those mosquito nets are, I'm not getting bit, but man, I can hear the buzzing.
He says, I had arranged for women for all of you, but after Mr. Westerly's reaction this afternoon, I decided to cancel that. They're probably still available if you want one.
And I say, you're really generous, and I for one appreciate your hospitality, but I think I'll pass for now. At this point, I don't think I have the energy. But I did want to ask you, and at this point I get kind of serious, and I'm like, you got a pretty good gig going here. I know a little something about that. Let me ask you something. What do you hope to find in that temple? You said that there's this discovery there that you think can will be amazing and fantastic. What are you thinking, or what do you hope to find there?
He shows you a piece of paper that he had in his hand, and it's got some carvings on it that don't make any sense to you. Mm-hmm. He says, "This is a message that was given to me this evening by one of the Meepy scouts. They found these glyphs carved below a statue a few days' walk from the village." He says, "The Kali are planning on attacking the Meepy village for the recent disrespect of tribal customs." He says, "This is what I was afraid of, and it's one of the reasons why I've sent for you." I needed the second expedition to force our way into the temple's inner sanctum. The outer presence calls to me. It's been calling since my arrival in New Guinea 10 years ago. And he gets kind of a mad look in his eyes. And he says, well, let me just find the whole thing here. Oh, wait a minute. I missed it here. Sorry, I wanted to read something verbatim here.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I must become one with the thing living inside Nafuata, whatever it may be. It's deliciously loathsome, exquisitely hideous, awe-inspiringly depraved. It's within my reach, yet somehow it has kept me at bay. I think with the four of us, we should be able to force our way in. And then what I have said to the Mipi will become true. I will gain power. I will rule the world, Alistair. You could serve with me.
And Alistair says, and clearly all the hair on the back of his neck and on his arms and stuff are standing up at this point. But he plays it cool, and he's like, you said that it was almost calling to you, like you felt this presence since you got here, and I felt similar things before in my line of work, but what do you know about this? I mean, have you discovered anything? Are there any Mipi legends or anything? Like, how do you know that this is even true?
There are legends of what I believe was a spaceship crashing to the Earth here centuries ago and leaving pieces of it scattered all over this jungle. I think it's quite possible that the temple and what lies within have some connection to this event, whatever it may be, whether it were aliens or angels or devils, whatever. I know there's power there. Like I told you, it's been calling to me for 10 years. 9.5 years before I ever discovered there was a temple here. I knew it was there.
And yet...
This is my destiny.
I understand, and yet you say that...
No, you don't understand. You haven't seen it with your own eyes. You haven't been there. You haven't felt the presence. You'll see tomorrow.
And you have seen it with your own eyes?
The temple, I've been inside.
And
multiple times.
This force, this presence, have you experienced it beyond just a feeling?
I have not seen what lies within there, but I know it lives. I can feel its power.
And you feel that if you were to get close to it, if you were to interact with it, that somehow you would be able to, absorb its power or allow it to act through you? I mean, what are you thinking here?
I don't know exactly how it will work, but I will have it, or it will have me, or we shall have each other. But I'll tell you, there's a difference between what I have experienced and what lies in the pages of that book you carry. The difference is that my experiences are real.
And Alistair kind of looks at him for a minute, and he's like, well, I don't put a lot of stock in that book, to be honest with you. But, those experiences, I want those too. What can I do to help you? I don't think that my friend Jonathan will be too keen on this plan, and Jack, well, he's a good kid, but
okay.
I don't know.
I want you to roll basically a kind of a persuasion or whatever type thing. Roll 2d6 because this is something you'd be good at because you are a huckster, as we've said. So go ahead and roll 2d6 and we'll take the highest result.
All right, got a 5.
Yeah, that's a good success. So he leans over to you and he kind of whispers. He says, Okay, but you cannot tell the others. I did not tell you everything that I found that is within these glyphs, and he shows you the paper again. He says, this first part here, I think it's the key to getting access to the inner sanctum. It says here that an offering of man's life force is the key to opening the way. I have offered some of the Meepy to it before, trying to get in. But they were unsuccessful and have not yet reached the inner sanctum. But the Meepy, as I've told you before, they are less evolved. They are not really men, not like you and I. I think if we offer one of the others, perhaps Mr. Westerly, his life force may be what it takes to open the doors to the inner sanctum.
And I look at him and I say, well, I don't doubt that you're correct, but do you propose bringing some of your Meepy warriors along? Because there's no way that I can take Westerly out. I mean, I don't know how skilled you are with that kind of thing.
There will be 4 of us against him. We'll bring Elliot along as well.
I say, and I don't try to hide my fear or apprehension at all from him. I say,
You carry that revolver. Do you not know how to use it?
honestly, not really. I carry it, just as a deterrent. But I've, when I've been confronted with something like this, well, I don't stick around to face it. I get the hell out.
Perhaps you should give it to me then. I may be better with it.
And he kind of shakes his head and he's like, no, I think I better keep it, only because well, Jonathan, he's a crafty one, and if he were to figure it out, well, he'll try to go after you, and well, from everything I've seen, I believe what you're saying, and if it comes down to it, I'll do what I need to do to make sure that you accomplish your goal.
Good. I'm counting on you, Alistair.
I'll say I'll do my best. What else can I do?
Does Jack carry any weapons?
I don't think so. I haven't seen any. I mean, he's a tour guide. He's not really a fighter.
No, Elliot's not much of a fighter either, but I'll make sure he's armed for this expedition. Do you think Jack would take our side?
I don't know. I just don't know.
Perhaps it's best then to keep him unarmed.
I agree. I think so. He's unpredictable. He's young, and I think if we can explain it to him and he can see the benefit, maybe. But boy, he
would make an excellent sacrifice himself, but I don't think Westerly would allow it.
No, and I don't know. I feel like Westerly would be the one that this thing would want. I mean, a warrior of his of his power, that's got to be appealing.
True. Yes, there's a lot of life force in him still. Very well. I think I can try to sleep now. I suggest you do the same. We will start early.
Absolutely. And you can count on me.
Good night.
Good night. And I kind of head back, walking towards the tent.
Oh, and Alistair.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Here, he reaches into his coat, and at first you think he's going for a gun.
Yeah.
And he pulls out a flask, and he hands it to you. He says, that might help you sleep. He says, I have bottles of the stuff in my tent. Don't worry, it's just scotch. And he turns and walks away.
Excellent. And I put it in my pocket, and I walk back towards the tent, just looking kind of left and right. And before I realize I shouldn't be doing that, basically looking for Jonathan. And then you
feel like you're being watched the whole time.
Yeah.
You feel like there's eyes in the jungle itself watching you.
Yeah. And then my gaze starts looking for snakes again and spiders as I make my way back to the tent.
And what about Jonathan and Jack? What have you guys been doing during this time?
Jonathan would have, just after he left the tent, he would have reached into his duffel bag, pulled out a black metal cylinder. He would have unscrewed the back of it, taken it off, taken out his canteen, filled the cylinder with water, made sure the rubber seal was good, and screwed the back on, and then screwed the metal cylinder to the end of his 45. It's basically an old school water suppressor.
Okay.
And then he would have snuck out the back of the tent. He would have had his shirt off. He would have covered himself in mud to keep the mosquitoes away, if there was any mud available.
Okay. Yep.
Also to make him blend in with better in the jungle. Then he would have tried to stick to the jungle, sneak around, and keep an eye, and if possible, to get close enough to keep an ear on Alistair and Crazy Pants' conversation.
That's going to require a stealth check.
Okay.
So you'd have 2d6 because of your profession.
That is a 4 and a 6.
Okay. Yep. No problem. You're able to sneak around and kind of see. Now, you have to see it from a distance because the doctor's tent is pretty close to the heart of the village. As if you want to stick to the jungle, unless you want to sneak in amongst the huts to get closer.
He would have pushed it as far as he could, but he would have tried to stay out of sight of the natives.
Yeah, and you did roll a 6, so I'll say you rolled well enough. You also do notice several sentries around the village and in the jungle itself that the Meepy are looking out for something, but they don't see you.
Like I said, he would have tried to push it just enough to maintain his safety and not be seen by them, but he wished it wouldn't have pushed it far enough that he would have put anybody at risk.
Okay. What about Jack?
He would have tried to take Alistair's suggestion and keep an eye on the tent, but I have the feeling that he really didn't get too much pertinent information from doing so. And with the start, he kind of jumps as he realizes that he kind of actually dozed off when he wasn't supposed to. So he'll head back to the tent.
Okay, no problem. And then, John, you'll go back to the tent too after the doctor returns to his tent, or?
Yeah, head back to the tent.
Okay. And
although when he gets there, sorry.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
When he gets there, everyone that is there would be very surprised when he comes in the back of the tent because he's covered pretty much his hair, his face, torso, in mud.
Looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and Alistair actually stifles a gasp as he's coming in, and he's kind of reaching for his gun, but he actually pulls out the flask by mistake because it was kind of on top of the gun, and then he realizes who it is, and he's like, "God, thank God you're here. Did you hear any of what was going on? Any of my conversation?"
Was I able to?
No, you'd have been too far away. They were talking too quietly. Jack, too, would have been too far away to have heard it. So, Alistair, I'll let you decide how much you want to tell them, or do you want to give full disclosure?
Yeah, no, I am. I'm going to give full disclosure. I'm going to let them know, relay the whole thing, and I'm like, Jonathan, look, man, he's planning on sacrificing you. Now, look, I'm not gonna attack you. I'm not gonna shoot you or whatever. But we got to come up with a plan here, because something's gonna go down tomorrow.
Me? Why me?
No, Jonathan, he said.
Yeah,
Jonathan. Okay.
I was like,
okay, yeah.
I was like, don't worry, Jack. He doesn't think you're a threat.
So the little bastard plans to kill me.
Yeah, but it's weird. I mean, this guy totally believes what he's saying. I mean, he thinks there's something in there, and And I got to admit, I mean, I don't know what it is, but I think there's got to be something in there.
Sure, there is something in there. There's always something in fucked up, weird places. And I'm sure he believes what he's saying. Most crackpots do.
Yeah. What are we gonna do?
We're going to take
John,
him out
what are we
before
gonna
he
do,
gets a
man?
chance. Tomorrow, we'll head to his little fucking temple or whatever the fuck. I'll take rear. Let one of his little fucking tribe sons of bitches take point. Then about halfway there, I'll shoot him in the back of the head.
Then what? How are we gonna get out of here and get back to if Hector's not gonna be back here for a week? What are we gonna do? Just sit around?
We hoof it.
And I say, well, the impression I get is that the four of us, and the four of us only, will go into that. Maybe Elliot, but I'm not too worried about him. Will go into the temple alone, and he kept talking about trying to get into the inner sanctum. I have a feeling that if the sacrifice is going to happen, it'll be there. So that might be our opportunity.
Can you use that little pea shooter?
I was like, I can if I need to, but honestly, I feel like, and I kind of look over to Jack, and I was like, you know, he's not going to expect Jack to be armed, and gosh, I mean, I don't know how vigilant he's going to be. If he's going to check him, I doubt it, because I don't think he'll want to raise his suspicion, but I think Jack needs to hold on to it. He's the least likely to be caught.
I don't know anything about guns.
I guess it's time to learn.
No. And Alistair he admits to you, he's like, I don't really either. I just carry the thing in case somebody gets crazy and I gotta hoof it out of there.
How do you even know it works?
I was like, oh, I've shot it before, just at targets and cans and stuff. Never at a person.
I kind of lean back, or actually fall back on the bed, with my hands over my face, and groan and go, I just wanted to make some extra money. Was that too much to ask for? I didn't want all this nonsense to happen, and now look at this. We're not gonna make it out of here alive.
You do know from being a tour guide and reading plenty of books and stuff like that. Inner sanctums of temples, usually like burial chambers and stuff or whatever of former rulers or religious leaders and stuff, are usually stacked full of riches. Especially seeing as this is apparently one that's never been cracked before.
It's gonna be full of spiders and snakes. Watch.
Listen, kid.
Well, there's that too.
We're gonna be fine. Okay? You just follow my lead. You follow orders. I'm gonna get y'all through this.
All right,
Got
I try to still myself and calm my nerves, and I nod and go, okay. All right, John, whatever you say.
Yeah, and I
Now,
pretty much do the exact same thing.
quick lesson about a gun. We're not going to worry about accuracy. We're not going to have you shoot, because that would attract attention. I want you to be as close to this Elliot fucker as you can get. I see that little snub nose of yours?
Yeah, and I hand it over.
I walk over and I put it in Jack's hands. I want you to hold that up, aim at the wall, keep your finger off the trigger. There are these two little sights in the back and this one little sight in the front. You're going to line it up so that the front sight falls directly between the rear sights. Okay? Once you get it like that, point it at whatever you want to ventilate and pull the fucking trigger. Do not hesitate.
Okay, you can see that Jack's hand is kind of shaky as he kind of holds it up and he brings his eye in line between the sights, and he
Mhm.
lines it up and then he kind of puts it back down and nods.
And you
What's your
pull the
dominant?
trigger.
What's your dominant hand, son?
He holds up his left hand.
Okay, you're gonna use your left hand as your guide. That's gonna be your strong hand. You're gonna cup your right hand up under your left like this. Most likely, your left eye dominant. So I want you to line it up with your left, once you close your right eye, line it up with your left eye, and then open both eyes and try to look down the sides. If it offsets, then you're right eye dominant. Then you're going to have to learn to aim with your left hand as your strong hand and aim with your right eye.
Kind of does a double take and looks at this and he says, "All I want to do is aim and pull the trigger, for God's sake."
Hey, it is better. You will be more accurate with both eyes open than with one eye closed.
Okay, I think I got it. I think I'm good.
Just practice aiming for a little bit. You'll be fine, kid. You'll be fine. I've seen way more powder puffy kids than you not drop the gun on their first time. Don't worry, man. I've seen people way weaker than you get into war and get out.
And at this point, oh, go ahead.
I was just saying that's the truth anyway, isn't it? Though.
Yeah. Alistair, at this point, realizing that their prospects are pretty dim of making it out of here alive, actually opens that vial and kind of gives it a sniff. And then if it doesn't smell totally horrible, he'll actually take a sip of it.
Oh yeah, the flask. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a blended scotch.
Yeah, and he'll start drinking it, and with the hopes that maybe he will be able to get a few hours of sleep before he assumes what's going to lead to his death.
Oh yeah, it eases the nerves quite a bit. Actually, relaxes you. After a little bit, you realize just how tired and sore you really are from traveling for over a day. You haven't slept on a proper surface. You've been sleeping in chairs basically for the last day and a half or something. So all of a sudden,
Nice.
that cot's feeling mighty inviting.
Yeah. Yep, and I'll head over to it and actually just lay down. Not even worried about snakes or spiders.
Oh no, you'll be able to sleep no problem then after that. The rest of you guys go back to sleep then?
Oh yeah.
I'll
Okay.
practice a little bit, and then pretty soon his eyes start crossing because he's so tired and he crashes.
I want everybody to roll a d6, please.
Four.
Got a 5.
And a 4.
Okay. Jack, you have a dream. A very intense, one of those real, what do they call it? Like realistic dreams. What's it called? Like not livid. What's the word? Anyway,
Lucid?
lucid. Thank you. You have this real lucid dream. It feels lifelike. And in the dream, you're stumbling out of the jungle, and there's something down below the surface, and you don't know what it is. You feel it. You sense it. A preternatural hunger, subterranean appetite that just won't be sated until it bursts forth, devouring the world as humanity falls to its knees in despair. And then you wake up kind of sweating to the sound of a woman screaming outside the tent, which wakes you all.
Is it daylight?
It is.
Okay. I'll jerk up, and kind of struggle to lift the mosquito net up, and I'll run out just right outside the tent to look around.
You guys all run outside?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to reach for my pistol as I'm going out and realize I don't have it.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, follow behind Jonathan.
So it is morning, but you notice the sky is kind of darkening, and you feel like an almost disquieting vibration in the air. You find the screaming woman, and you see what she's screaming at is you see one of those giant snakes like you saw on the road on the way here, probably 18 to 20 feet long, and it has almost finished completely swallowing an unlucky tribesman. Several other tribesmen come running up with spears as you guys arrive, and they start trying to stab the snake to kill it, which doesn't take them too long. Eventually, they do kill it, but the tribesman inside is already dead.
Wow, this is an auspicious start.
Makes you think back on that dream you just had too, Jack.
Well, as livid as it was, or lucid as it was, rather, um, I still, it's kind of a haze still in my mind. If anything, the emotional impact that it had on me is still what I really
Mhm.
remember. Excuse me. And looking at the form of the victim inside of that snake's gullet,
Yeah,
just
they've
kind of,
pretty much pulled him out now, but yeah, he's, you can see he's been bit multiple times.
yeah,
If any of you guys have any knowledge about natural things, you can tell that the snake bite was poisonous.
he it's kind of a metaphor for what I think is going to happen later on this morning. We're going to get swallowed up by this temple and probably never make it out alive.
Dr. Steiner comes up and looks and sees the scene and says, "Oh, unlucky bastard. Those snakes don't usually get this close to the village. Hmm. We must go quickly." And he gets his little expedition to the temple ready. So there's three of you. There's himself and Elliot, and about a dozen Meepi armed with spears and bow and arrows.
All right, I will make sure I have the pistol in my front pocket, and then I'll also bring my duffel bag with me because even though I really am not certain if there will be any riches in this temple, just the fact that it is a remote possibility, it's still in the back of my head.
Absolutely.
And I've got my baseball cap.
Okay.
Dodgers.
Okay. It'll take a bit of time to reach Nafuata. I want you all to roll another d6. Oh, actually, it says I'm supposed to roll for you, but that's okay. Okay, you guys go ahead and roll. It's no big deal.
I am getting good
Josh got a
rolls.
6.
6.
Sam got a 6.
I got to show you this. 6.
Did you get 6?
Yeah.
6, 6, 6.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not. So this is interesting. As you guys are kind of walking along, who's up towards the point?
I imagine I would be walking actually near Dr. Steiner just to kind of, further that facade or whatever.
Yeah, so you're probably up towards the front. As you're walking along, Sam, you glimpse off into the jungle because you see some movement out of the corner of your eye. And you glimpse into the jungle and you see a man like kind of creeping along in the trees. And you turn and look right at him. And he's standing there and he's looking right at you. And he's you. You're staring at yourself about, 10 yards away from you in the jungle. And the look of confusion on his face mirrors the look of confusion that you're probably feeling at the same time.
Yeah. And I actually stop dead as that happens. Like, this confusion just sort of turning into panic. and trying to reach down again to my pocket for the pistol that isn't there.
Yeah.
And then I
You reach
imagine.
down and realize it's not there.
Yeah, yeah, and then I imagine because I stopped, if everyone else was walking, that somebody would either bump into me or somebody would pass by me, and it would kind of break the my gaze for just a minute, and then as I look back, is he still there?
No, there's nothing there.
Okay. And so, did anybody else kind of realize what was going on, or
Nobody
just kind of
seems to
seemed
take
stuck
any
there?
notice. Nope, not at all.
Okay. So I kind of shake it off a little bit, and quietly in my head I'm panicking, but I'm trying not to let on because I don't want to die right here in the jungle. So I make my way back, not back up to Steiner, but kind of back to Jack and to Jonathan, and I kind of, if I can, relay to them what I just saw without sort of alerting everyone else, I would.
Okay. I know, John, you said you were walking at the back.
Yeah.
What about Jack? Where's Jack?
Well, I guess he would have to be kind of just right in front of maybe a few arm lengths in front of John, I guess,
Okay. Stay close to John.
Where's Dr. Steiner in this group?
Oh, he's up towards the front of the procession.
Okay, I'll be closer to him because I know that I have to keep at least within a fairly clean range of him. So even though I don't want to be this close to him, I'll be a little bit closer to him.
Okay.
If that's possible.
No problem.
All right.
So
then in that case,
Jack first.
Yeah. Well, so actually,
Okay.
in that case, what I'll do is I'll go right past Jack and go back to Jonathan first, and be like, I'll kind of look to him and I'll be like, did you see anything off in the woods just now, or not in the woods, but off in the jungle over there?
I don't think so.
And I'm like, oh man, I don't know if it's sleep deprivation or something that eating that snake or what, but
First time in the jungle.
yeah, but
Bad
I
place for
swear,
your brother.
yeah, just
Yeah.
like hallucinations and stuff.
You ever heard of Mirage?
Yeah, in the desert, right?
Yeah, in the jungle you get kind of like Mirage things, but they're always trying to kill you.
Well, it was just this. This was this was it was like me. Like I looked up and all of a sudden it was like I was looking at my reflection. Only it was so real. And then all of a sudden it was gone. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
A couple times. Young soldiers think they see themselves in the woods. Though admittedly, usually ain't usually themselves looking back at themselves. It's usually like themselves with their guts hanging out, stepped on a
While they're having
landmine.
this conversation, Jack, you see somebody in the jungle as well, kind of creeping along, paralleling the caravan or whatever you want to call it that you're in, and you turn and look, and you see yourself peeking out from behind a tree at you.
What? I stop in my tracks and kind of blink, and take a
Yeah, he
step.
blinks as well.
I
Looks shocked.
take a step towards closer, as if I don't believe it, which I don't.
And he
And I
steps out from behind the tree, and his jaw drops agape, like he can't fucking believe what he's looking at.
I look back towards Alistair and John.
They're having some kind of conference back there at the back of the caravan.
I raise my arm and point at me, my doppelganger, and kind of croak out, "Look!"
Yeah.
Trying to get their attention.
So you guys hear Jack saying, "Look!" And when you look back, Jack is not there anymore.
Oh, the doppelganger's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, Jack, it's a rubber tree. What?
Okay, so they catch up to you. The three
Did you
of you are all
did
standing together.
did you see that?
It's a rubber tree. They're fairly common.
No,
Yeah.
over there by the tree. It was me.
And I'm like,
Or
wait,
I
wait,
mean, it
wait,
looked
wait,
like me.
wait, wait. You just saw you just saw you?
I nod.
I was like, holy shit, I saw the same thing. I mean, I saw me, not you, but what the hell's going on here?
I
Guys,
reach into my pocket, and kind of put my hand around the grip of the pistol.
it's the
Yeah.
jungle playing tricks on your mind. Man, don't worry about it. Look on the bright side. You only saw yourself looking at yourself. It's fairly nice vision. I heard
And
guys looking like they stepped on a fucking landmine. So
and you got both of their attention. They're both looking at you, like as you're trying to explain to them, like, look, it's just the jungle fucking with your head. And you see kind of between the two of them and behind them in the jungle, Josh, you see the three of you huddled together having a conference, and you're looking between the two of them back at yourself.
okay, that's fucked up. Guys, it's just jungle playing tricks in your head. Okay, just don't worry about it. Don't even think about it. And I flip off myself.
And I look
And-
back, like, what is he doing, you know?
And you see the reflection of yourself reach for your pistol.
Me?
No. Sorry. Well,
Oh.
yeah, as you look over, you will see same thing he sees. But yeah, you see your reflection of yourself, whatever it is, pulls a pistol and points it at you.
Okay, who do I think is the least likely to be able to get out of the way? Yeah, I'm gonna grab Jack, pull him away as I'm drawing my pistol and aiming.
Okay. And as you do so, you bump into Alistair as well. And when you get your pistol drawn and you look back up and you aim, just waiting for the sound because you're expecting a gunshot to go off by now, there's nothing there.
What are you doing,
And the
Josh?
Meepy now are standing around and gesturing towards you with their spears and talking. And Dr. Steiner's walking back and says, "Are you guys all right? What's going on back here?"
Let go of my arm. It hurts, man.
I let him go. I'm sorry. I thought I saw a panther. Panthers are around here, right? Some kind of big cat.
Be extra vigilant then. There are predators in these jungles, so. And he says something to the Meepy, and they all like look around. They all get their bows and arrows. They all knock an arrow kind of thing and just ready, just in case. And you progress on.
Yeah, and I'll head back up to kind of be near Dr. Steiner, but on my way back, I'll kind of talk to Jack, and I'll be like, look, keep that pistol hidden as long as possible. And then I progress on.
Okay, I nod, but you can tell that Jack's visibly shaken. This is getting to him.
After a total couple hours of trekking through the jungle, you finally reach Nafuata. It's huge, obsidian-looking stones. They're not like any stones that you've seen on this island. It's massive, even though it's like half sunken just off the river. The entrance to the temple is basically the mouth of a stream, and you can see expansive cobwebs all over it. You can see the likeness of like malevolent spirits or demons or gods framing the entryway. Spider webs as well all over the place. And Dr. Stein says, Nafuata. He says, the Meepy will not enter with us. We will go on our own from here. They will wait outside for our return. And you can see they're kind of setting up a basic little kind of camp outside there, the 12 Meepy warriors.
Well, this ain't creepy at all.
He says, prepare your lanterns. It'll be very dark inside.
Do we each have one?
If you chose to bring some, or you could have flashlights, or... Did anybody not think to bring one? You can not think to bring one too if you wish.
No, I didn't bring a lantern.
Okay. Jack didn't bring shit.
Brought a
Yeah, I'll
duffel
pull out my
bag, a
flashlight.
gun.
Yeah, John brought a flashlight.
I would assume that I would have like a little like pocket flashlight, so it's not going to give off a whole lot of light, but something that I would use to, like read or whatever at night.
The Scooby-Doo special.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll approach Dr. Steiner and kind of under my breath be like, how far in is it till the inner sanctum? Do I need to be ready to act quick?
No. We'll have to pass through a few caves before we get there.
Okay. And I say, just let me know when I need to do something.
You'll know. You'll know.
Okay. And then I back up a little bit.
Yeah, you'll notice John's flashlight's one of those green L-shaped ones
Okay.
that he actually clips to his belt.
Cool. So how are you progressing in?
Taking the rear.
I'm standing right behind Dr. Steiner.
Jack?
Well, still, I guess since John's close to Dr. Steiner, I'll be a little bit behind him then.
Okay. So it looks like poor Elliot's going at the front. Elliot's leading the way, and he's visibly kind of a little bit nervous. He's not been to the temple before. This is his first trip. He's always stayed back at the camp before. So you guys go in, and you're walking into this huge, like, cavernous kind of foyer, I guess, if you will, of this temple. As you're doing so, let me see here. Meeny, meeny, miny, mo. 1, 2, or 3. Okay. So as you guys are walking in, simultaneously you hear Elliot you see Elliot go down and drop his light, and you hear him kind of scream in terror. And at the same time as that happens, Jack, you feel a heavy weight drop down on your back. And I'll roll an attack roll. Okay. Something big hits you on the back and kind of pushes you forward and bumps you into Alistair. But it didn't grab onto you or anything of that sort. It lands actually right in front of Jonathan. You just see this black shadowy thing just fall down in front of you and kind of knock Jack ahead. You hear Elliot scream, and you see him go down, and his light bounces off the floor. So I'd like everybody to roll initiative. Roll a d6.
Got a 4.
Yep, 4.
Wow, I got 2 4s as well. What's going on with Dice Stream, man?
Well, I got a 1, so...
Okay, somebody didn't get a 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so simultaneously, we all go. So Elliot's action will be to just continue to scream in terror. Dr. Steiner's action will be to run off to a safe area and shine his flashlight over in the direction to see what's going on with Elliot. As he does so, you see a spider, the size of a golden retriever, crouching on top of Elliot and biting him repeatedly in the face as he screams. And let's see here. There is another spider there as well that had tried to jump on Jack's back and just kind of pushed him ahead. And that spider now has 2 choices for targets. So it's going for Jack again. It just has it in for Jack. So it attacks Jack. In fact, it leaps up Jack and grapples you around the legs and starts biting you around the waist.
All right, I had tried to break my fall by kind of using Alistair as kind of a support, but once my legs get kind of grappled and it's biting my body now?
Yeah, it's biting you around the midsection.
I let go with a scream and try to start kicking to try to get it off of me.
Okay, go ahead and roll d6 for your attack.
Okay, you're not gonna believe it, but 6.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you kick it off of you and kick it again, like right in between the mandibles, basically,
Hmm.
and it like falls over and turns over on its back.
And I'm
Um,
screaming in a panic and just yelling.
Jonathan, you
Yeah.
were on 4 as well. You can see the one that was right in front of you just like rolls up on its back after getting kicked a couple times by Jack, and you can also see the other one that's on top of Elliot biting him in the face.
So the one that Jack kicked looks dead.
Dead, unconscious, something. It's
Okay, I'm gonna
taking that legs up position.
immediately gonna draw my pistol, aim at the one that's on Elliot, and fire.
Roll a d6.
Okay, 3.
A 3, you just graze
Would I
it.
roll
Okay.
2d6 for that?
Oh yeah, you would. I'm sorry. You're right. You should roll 2 and take the highest.
6.
Okay, so you shoot it, and you blow its head off. Actually, it explodes, and the spider guts right on top of Elliot. He's now covered in ichor, and
And and
give
should
it
I
that.
roll disadvantage to kick away from it or no?
No, 1d6 for a standard
Okay.
attack. I mean, you're not
Okay.
you're not a fighter, but I mean, it was kicking and punching is pretty. That's your natural attacks. You know what I mean? If you were firing a gun, yeah, you probably would roll at disadvantage. Froze on me. Are you guys there? Anybody here?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I
Yeah.
thought I thought I froze up for a second. Cool. Um, so you get this thing off. Well, this thing is off of you now, Jack. It's unconscious. It's still twitching a little bit.
Okay, if I can, I'll uh, get myself to my feet. And who still has a light source around me?
Oh, you probably dropped. Oh no, you didn't have yours. That's right.
No,
Well,
I don't have one.
John has his on his belt. It's pointing right at the thing there in front of you with its legs up in the air.
I
Alistair
had
still
my
has
little
his light.
flashlight. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go over next to Alistair then. Did you see that thing? What? Oh my God!
Elliot is not even trying to recover his flashlight. He's got his hands up over his face. And he's just screaming in pain and crying. The doctor is slowly approaching him and shining his flashlight on him to see what's going on with him.
Yeah, and Alistair, who realizes to his great shame, was screaming just as at the same time that Jack was, as this whole attack was going on, and he actually dropped the flashlight, so he kind of like kind of crouches down and grabs the flashlight, and he comes back up, and he's his hand is
You think you
shaking and
feel
shit.
something crawl across your hand as you reach for the flashlight?
Oh my God, I totally then like shriek and kind of like throw, like almost involuntarily throw the flashlight.
Okay. There was nothing there. It's just a figment of your imagination.
Yeah.
But you got the creepy curlies.
Yeah. Can I see the flashlight still? Like, could I go still retrieve it?
Oh yeah, you see it roll up against a statue or something in the chamber. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I go and get it. And then the sheepish look on my face as I come back and yeah, and I look to Jack and I'll be like, that was the biggest fucking spider I've ever seen. Oh my God. And I'm just kind of like with the flashlight in one hand and just kind of holding my head like, ugh. Because if there's anything I don't like worse than snakes, it's spiders.
My attention's on poor Elliot now, as he's still over there in pain, I guess.
Doctor's trying to calm him down, and he's screaming. He took a couple of nasty bites of the face. He's got some pretty bad swelling in his cheeks and up around his eyes and stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to begin to walk forward, and I'm going to walk over the one that Jack knocked out and go ahead and double tap it.
Okay. Pop, pop, spider guts everywhere. It stops twitching.
And look at Jack, you got bit, didn't you?
I kind of like realizing this, I kind of
Mm-hmm.
start rubbing, patting my body and stuff, trying to see if I
Oh,
actually
yeah.
can tell.
Tender there. Yeah. You pull up your shirt.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you got a couple of fang marks right there
Oh my God.
on the left side of your belly.
I start to kind of swoon almost, you know, and I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
Hold on. I'm going to take a closer look at the wounds.
Okay. You want to roll me a d6, and maybe you have some knowledge of these things from your previous jungle experience.
Yeah,
No, you have no hit points. We don't do hit points.
So would that be 2d6 or just 1?
Just one, because you're not a scientist per se.
So 3.
A 3? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good. It's definitely swelling up. There's probably some kind of venom in there. You're not sure if it's fatal or not, if it's just meant to, to irritate, or if it's, paralyze him, kill him. You have no idea.
Okay, I look up at Jack. This is going to hurt like a bitch. I'm going to tell him to take off his belt and bite down on it.
Bend over.
I kind of look at him like, what?
Wait,
Well,
I've
you
seen
don't
this
have
movie.
to, but you could bite off your tongue.
What are you about to do?
I'm going to cut the wound, squeeze the poison out. Then I'm going to take my lighter to my knife, heat the blade, cauterize the wound.
I kind of step back and I kind of look at him, and then I look down at my chest and I go, poison?
Yeah,
I think it was venomous.
There's some kind of oozy, pussy ooze kind of seeping from your gut.
I let my shirt drop down and I say, I think I'm okay. I feel
The
fine.
longer we wait, the more chance it is that it could possibly kill you.
I didn't sign up for this, man. I'll be okay.
Bite down on your damned belt.
And as John kind of steps menacingly towards me, I do it. I bite down on the belt.
I'm going to take my knife.
I close my eyes and put my hands over my ears, if that's going to help.
I'm going to take my knife, slowly make a very deep enough to squeeze the poison out, not deep enough to lacerate anything vital.
All right, at the cut, I jump back and I scream out. It ain't gonna happen, loud.
Okay, your funeral, brother.
I can't do it.
I could knock you out first.
I turn towards Alistair and I go, "Can you do anything? He's got to cut me open like a ham."
And I come over to him and I'm kind of like reach my arm around him and try to comfort him a little bit, and I'm just whispering in his ear, and I'm like, there's not much I can do, and I reach into the pocket and I pull out the pistol, not like I'm gonna shoot him, but just I grab it like he's not gonna be able to use it anymore.
Right.
And at the same time as I'm doing this, if I can do that,
there's not much I can do as he takes the pistol out of your pocket.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
And sort of ignoring what Jack is saying, I'm just like staring right at Jonathan, just like, trying to portray like this is your moment, like, if there was any more of a distraction or any better time, this might be it.
Yep, I'm going to advance, cut the wound open, and start to squeeze the poison out.
Yeah, and as he starts to do that, I start shaking my head, and I kind of nod back towards Steiner.
And just as you slash across Jack's gut, you hear a pop, pop, and you see Steiner standing over Elliot and holding a pistol. He's just shot Elliot in the head twice.
Yeah, I'm drawing my gun and shooting Steiner.
Okay, roll d6. Roll 2d6, in fact.
6!
Okay, yeah, you shoot him right in the head and kill him instantly. And you're slashed across the belly and bleeding now.
I run into the darkness in a panic.
Okay.
You guys can hear my screams, kind of, as I'm kind of like freaking out.
This is pure Cthulhu right here. The chaos is fucking nuts.
No flashlight, no nothing.
Nope. You're screaming in the dark.
Just bleeding like crazy.
If I don't carterize that, he's going to die.
If he runs out there, he's gonna die. So don't
That's
worry
in front
about
of
it.
it. And you can see it glistening, like a strange, almost bluish glow. And you see like 7 of them in this wall that you just ran into, almost like eyes. What's going on with you guys and John and Alistair?
Wait, who just saw the eyes?
Oh, that's Jack. He ran off into the darkness.
Oh, okay. Um, so I guess I would kind of go over and try to sort of examine Steiner's body, just see if if he's got anything on him that would kind of be valuable or anything that would kind of give us more clues as to what's up with this cave, what's up with this temple.
Well, you do find that piece of paper that he was carrying earlier that had the glyphs on it you didn't understand.
Yeah,
And on
but
it
it looks just the same.
there's a series of numbers written on it in English as well. And they say, I'll tell you the sequence in a minute here as soon as I can find it. It says 3714265.
Wow. Okay. And would I have any idea like what that is, or would I anything from my past or
No,
my training? No. Okay.
no idea. Nope. It's you realize right away it's a sequence of 7 numbers. It's not in order, but it is the numbers 1 through 7.
Yep.
So you figure it must probably, you deduct it must be some kind of like a password or code or something.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
And it's got Steiner's blood on it as well, but
Yeah.
um, you can see the ruin of his skull.
Yeah.
Half of his head's basically missing, the upper half.
Okay.
And you look over to Elliot there as well. Elliot's in a similar state. He's no longer
Yeah,
feeling the pain.
yeah. I would take the gun that Steiner had, just kind of tuck it in my pocket or in my belt. And if he had a decent flashlight, I might take that as well.
Yep.
And then I actually am sort of feeling at this point like I kind of want to see what it was that Dr. Steiner was talking about. Maybe if in fact that this power is real. Either I want to kill this thing, and hopefully John will come with me, or maybe absorb that power myself.
Well, if you shine your flashlight around, you notice a couple of different things. Number one, you can see a trail of blood in the direction that Jack ran off in. And number two, you can see a lot of movement up on the ceiling. When you shine your flashlight up on the ceiling, you see there's a whole bunch more of those spiders crawling around up there.
Oh yeah, okay, that's enough for me to be like, forget this, and I'll start backing out towards the cave entrance.
The way you came in, or the way that Jack ran?
No, I think the way that we came in.
Okay.
But I'll
So you're
sort
moving
of
back
pause
towards
as I get near Jonathan just to see what he does.
We got to go find him. Never leave a man behind.
I was afraid you were going to say that, but you're right.
Trust me, right now I wish I had an M60.
Yeah. All right. Let's go.
Jack, what are you doing now? As you see these blue eye-ish looking things glowing at you in the dark.
Well, just like almost like they're hovering in midair or something.
Yep. They don't move.
Oh, they're just standing there. I'm kind of holding the 2 slashes, the 2 wounds that are over, on my chest, and I guess on my chest area, I guess. And the t-shirt or the shirt that I have on is like starting to just like soak, with the blood. And I guess because of the poison that's starting to work its way through my veins, I'm starting to sweat and everything. And I'm kind of muttering to myself, this can't be real. I must still be dreaming. That's got to be it. And as I see the eyes like in front of me, it's got to be some kind of hallucination or something, you know. Um, and I kind of reach out and just take a step towards them, like seeing if I can actually just like grab the eyes out of the air.
Okay. As you do so, you touch one of the eyes and you realize it's not an eye, it's a stone, like a precious stone, a gemstone. It's about the size of the palm of your hand. And when you touch it, it starts to glow blue. And a pillar in the dark room you're in that you didn't see before because it's dark begins to also glow. It's kind of a lavender magenta hue coming from this pillar, and you can see it's got like veins through this pillar. That's where the glow is coming from, like some kind of energy coming from within its exterior. And then it quickly goes out again. The light, the glow from both of them goes out,
I try to touch another one of the gemstones.
and the same
Does
thing happens. Only this time it's a different pillar.
Okay. Um, I start to kind of laugh, and then cough. Uh, and is it possible for me to dislodge any of the gems?
You can try. You can start working on it. Do you have a knife or anything?
No, it doesn't matter because
Okay, so you're just pulling at it with your fingers, and you're trying to anyway. You
my
figure
hand
still
my
this
hands
time
are
must be
slick.
worth a lot of money.
Well, they're slick with blood anyway, so I don't
Yeah,
think I'm
you're
gonna be
trying,
able to
and
do
that'll make it
too
easy for
well.
the guys to find you because they can hear your laughter and your noise you're making.
Okay, that's what
You
I'm
guys
doing
come
then.
in. You see him trying to pull this blue stone out of this wall. As you shine the light on the wall, um, you realize you're in this massive chamber, and on the wall there's a carving, massive carving of some kind of hideous creature. It looks kind of insectoid, octopoidal, and draconic all at the same time. There are men depicted as well in the carving, and they're depicted as being about a tenth the size of this thing, a few of which are being lifted off the ground by its massive tentacles. And you see as he's fumbling with this blue stone, which is one of the eyes of the creature, it has 7 eyes. Um, every time he touches it, this one of the 7 pillars in the room starts to glow, with the veins of which start to glow with that magenta kind of hue, magenta and lavender. And you also notice there's 7 of these pillars, and each one has tentacles etched upon relief on them.
Do they all have the same amount of tentacles on each one?
Yeah, they're all pretty similar. They're 7 load-bearing pillars.
Okay. Well, I would go over to Jack, I think, and just kind of try to see how he's doing, see if if he looks like he's starting to fade pretty fast here or what.
As you approach him, he seems a little bit mad at the moment because he's just laughing and trying to pull the stone out of the wall with his bloody fingers.
I'm
But you see crumpled skeletal remains not too far from him, leaning up against the wall. Um,
I'm
it,
starting to slide down because I'm getting weak, you know.
it's a
So
robed skeletal figure, and its bony hands are gripping a ceremonial dagger.
Wow. Okay. I think maybe against my better judgment, I would go over there and actually see if I can remove the dagger from its hand.
Oh yeah, you pull it away, and the hands like crumble basically into dust, and the skeletal figure falls over and falls apart. And the dagger is amazingly sharp and still got its shine to it. It looks like brand new almost, but it obviously is very, very old.
Yeah. Okay. And then I return to Jack, and then I just kind of look to Jonathan to see what he's going to do next.
Hmm.
Walk over and examine Jack's wound.
yeah, I'm too weak to do anything. I don't really resist now. You know.
Yeah, he's lost quite a bit of blood now at this stage, but you figure, I mean, you can still tie that up. You know what I mean? He won't die from blood loss if you're quick about it.
Yeah, go ahead and take my shirt off and put it over the wound and tell Alistair to hold it.
Hmm.
while I pull out my knife and my lighter and start to heat the blade.
Okay. You cauterize the wound. That hurts like a motherfucker.
Yep, I scream.
You're awake now.
Good. Gotcha. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Would you imagine that Jack stays conscious, or would he go unconscious at that?
It's up to Jack.
Yeah, but he's like almost like dead weight now, you know, whether it's just like exhaustion or mental, you know, stress or whatever kind of trauma. He's just kind of like you know, a sack of potatoes almost. Not quite, but almost.
Do you have those 7 really expensive-looking blue stones in the wall as well?
Look, Alistair, can you carry him?
Carry him?
I mean,
No,
I can walk. You know, I can lean. I can walk with some support. You know, but that's about it.
Let's get him the fuck out of here. I don't want to be in this place any fucking longer.
Like, all right. But and I keep looking at the pillars, just like, man, you know, I want to, you know, I feel like there's something in here, and then I say, you know, okay, we can do that, but what are we gonna do? We get out of this cave without Dr. Steiner?
Yeah, they would have heard gunshots. Consider that happened in the entrance chamber.
Yeah. Maybe
We
there's
tell
another
him
way
the
out.
spiders killed him.
What, tell them we don't speak their language.
So we drag out a dead spider.
Maybe, but maybe there's another way out of here. Why don't we see if there's some way else that we can get out?
Because I really don't think whatever this thing's about is a smart idea.
You still got that note in your hand, Alistair.
Yeah. No, I know, and
14265.
yeah, and I'm putting it together that there's 7 pillars, there's 7 numbers, but what I'm worried about is that this will open something or this will summon somebody, but I also know that we're gonna, you know, we're pretty much facing certain death if we go out there.
And you know what Crazy Pants said? You got to sacrifice somebody. You come near me with that dagger, I'm going to put a bullet in your head, and I don't want to do that.
It's like, and I look to him, and then I kind of just look down at Jack for a minute, and then I look back at Jonathan, and I don't say anything, but I'm like, look, we probably can't get out the way we came in. We're gonna die if we go out that way. Jack's gonna die regardless. Let's see if we can get out of here another way.
So you want to kill Jack?
I don't want to kill Jack, but if we feel like that's the only way that we can do it, then I don't know. I mean, I say let's see if we can get out of here without killing anybody, but that he's not gonna make it.
He'll be fine. He just needs to heal up a little bit. Drink some orange juice.
Orange juice.
And Jack, you can hear this conversation going on around you, but you probably don't have the strength to really do much about it, but... So what do you want to do now?
I listened to Jonathan's words. I'm not gonna kill Jack or anything, but I'm gonna start going over to the pillars. And unless I'm stopped, I'm gonna try to figure out. Okay, so if I can figure out which one's the third pillar, I'll touch the gem on it, and then 7, 1, 4, 2, 6, 5.
Well, the pillars don't have the gems on them. The gems are on the wall. They're the 7 eyes of the creature.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah, I'm assuming that those
one, it lights up a pillar.
Yeah, okay, so then I'm going to do that in that order. So I'm going to touch the third eye.
The third eye. When you touch the third eye again, the eye stone glows, and one of the pillars glows as well. Only this time it doesn't wink out after a few seconds. It remains lit.
Yep.
And then if you touch them in that order, the 7th and then the 1st, etc., all the way down, they remain lit to the very end.
Yeah, and I'll hesitate
the
before I do the fifth one, and I look back to Jonathan, and I say, look, here's the thing. If you truly don't want me to do this, I won't do it. But this is the only thing I can think to possibly get us out of here. What do you think?
Personally, I'd rather take my chance with the fuckers. I think I could take out about half of them.
Yeah, but what about the other half?
That's for you.
That's for me. And I shake my head and I'm like, I don't want to go out like that. And I'm just clinging to this desperate hope that maybe there will be some way that we can like escape out of here.
Fine, try it. We got 2 bodies in the back of the thing. If we can, maybe it'll take almost fresh dead.
All right, and I push the last one.
Okay, and at that point, reality completely melts away, revealing what truly exists beneath your fragile and illusory universe. A realm of unutterable chaos and demonical horror that feels like fire screaming and shadow devouring everything virtuous and pure and comprehensible. I would like you all 3 to roll a d6, as you're suddenly no longer in that chamber in front of that wall. You are suddenly standing on a mist-shrouded bridge, on either side of which is a crevasse. There's a dense fog or mist obscuring whatever is down there. And you can hear some kind of strange, almost human-like gagging sound coming from within the mist. Jack, what did you get on your d6 roll?
2.
A 2. Let me just double check this. I believe that means you faint.
That will make sense.
No, sorry. 2 means that you assume the fetal position and begin rocking back and forth in a catatonic state.
That would make sense as well.
3 is what you got,
Yep.
yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Sam, you start ranting and raving about reality melting, the demonic horrors of the universe. I've seen it all. It's not what I thought. There is no God, blah, 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 blah. And Josh, you rolled a 6, so you've got the iron will. You're not fazed by the insane effect. But you are still standing here on this bridge with one guy raving about the madness of the universe, another guy rocking back and forth in a catatonic state, and this strange human-like gagging sound coming from the mist in the crevasse below you.
I knew we shouldn't have done that. This is creepy as shit. Okay, I got a guy rocking in the fetal position and some guy ranting about God not existing. I don't know who to help first.
You hear some kind of almost unhuman whisper in your head. It's whispering unintelligible things to you that you can't understand.
Shut the fuck up. Yeah, I want to walk over and shake Alistair.
Okay. So you shake him, and the bridge shakes as well when you do this, and it starts to sway. It's just like one of those really crappy, unstable rope bridges, you know what I mean, with the really thin wooden baseboards. And Jack tumbles over the side and falls into the mist. And you hear a thud, not too long after, and a groan.
Is Alistair coming to at all?
Yeah. That'll be enough to get him.
All right. Was I conscious of Jack falling over the bridge?
You saw it just as you kind of came to. Yeah, you're like, oh.
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, shit. And then I look at Jonathan. I'm like, what the hell is going on? We got to get out of here. And then I look around like, is it possible to get out of here?
Yeah, you're just on this bridge over a crevasse. shrouded in mist. You can't see either end of the bridge. You can still hear that the human-like gagging sound coming from the mist, and it sounds like it's approaching where you hear Jack kind of groaning.
And so, like, the bridge kind of goes into the mist, so to speak?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. On both sides.
Oh, shit.
Jack, when you hit the ground about 10 feet below where you fell off the bridge, it's startled. It shakes you back into kind of somewhat sanity again. And you can see what looks like a human form, shadowy human form, approaching you in the fog, and it's making this sound.
Okay. I try to shakily get to my feet and stand there. And I mean, there's nothing around me. There's nowhere to go. So I'll kind of stand.
It's closing on you as you're standing.
I'll kind of
And you
take
can see kind of long hair,
Mm-hmm.
And like a womanly form.
Oh, so it doesn't resemble anyone. Okay.
You just hear.
I'll yell up. I'll yell for help up to the upper.
Okay, you guys hear Jack on. It probably takes you a bit to get your voice. You hear.
Yeah, I'm reaching into my duffel bag, pulling out my rope. You said it's about 10 feet down. Can I see the bottom?
No, you can't see the bottom because of the mist, but.
Well, I know he lives, so it can't be that far. So I'm doubling up the rope, hooking it around the edge of the bridge for him, quickly forming a little leverage tie. I'm basically making a loop and pulling the rope through and throwing it down.
And by the time you've done that, anyway, the woman has reached you, Jack, and she's grabbing you by the shoulders, and she's shaking you, and she's got terror in her eyes. And you can realize now why she's making that horrible sound, because her mouth is hanging open as she's trying to say something to you, but you realize her tongue has been cut out.
Oh, wow. Is she a native woman?
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Sorry, I froze for a second there. What'd you say?
She a native woman?
No, she's an American woman, and you recognize her. You saw a photo of her on the desk in Steiner's office, or Steiner's tent.
She's one of the previous helpers.
Yeah, you think this must be Vanessa Hargrave. She was the only woman on the expedition.
Wow. Okay.
She looks to be pregnant as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Heavily pregnant. You also now hear this inhuman-like whisper in your ear, muttering unintelligible things that you can't understand now. It's not coming from her.
Okay. Wow. I really have no idea what to do. But I will.
By a bit of rope as Jonathan throws it in your direction at the sound of your voice.
Okay. I've been holding her at arm's length, because I'm not really sure what to make of her.
Yeah,
and
like,
as I get smacked by this rope, I kind of, look up with a start. And I'll tug on it. I'll tug on the rope.
Okay.
I yell down, hold on, as I feel somebody tug onto it, and I start pulling him up.
I yell, wait. There's a woman down here with me.
Where?
Right here.
Take 3 steps back.
Okay.
I'm going to point my gun over the side, aim where his voice was, and fire.
Okay, roll d6. Just 1 this time, because I'm going to give you a disadvantage not being able to see what you're shooting at.
2. Son of a bitch.
You miss.
Hey, Ian, I thought it was roll the 2 and take the lowest.
Well, no, normally he gets 2 dice.
Oh, okay.
So he's only getting 1 because of this disadvantage.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Sorry, it's not a disadvantage like specifically. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
reducing his dice pool by 1.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, he fires off and misses both of you. And the woman like looks at you in terror, and she jumps over and grabs you and cuddles into you in terror.
All right, I try to yell up and I scream, "Stop! Stop! You're gonna kill us!"
The plan was to kill one of you. Or, what do you mean, you?
All right, I tell him to hold on, and I try to see if I can kind of cinch the rope underneath her arms so that he can pull her up.
Okay. Do you pull it up then?
Yeah. As soon as he yells, pull.
Okay. So you pull up, and it's not Jack, but it's this woman. And she's in jungle gear. She's heavily pregnant. She's obviously extremely distressed. She's had her tongue cut out. She's an American woman.
Is she still alive?
Yeah. And she looks terrified.
Go ahead and pull her up onto the bridge. I'm going to regret this later.
Okay. Throw the rope back down for Jack.
Yeah, throw the rope back down. I do look at her. You try anything, I will fucking shoot you.
She says, "Oh, oh."
Shut up, too.
When I get up, I tell him that I've seen her in one of the pictures of the doctors. So she was one of the people that worked here before we got here.
And when you say it, she's nodding.
That's awesome. Let's try to get the tongueless pregnant woman out of here. Why don't we see what else we can rescue? Maybe there's a small pygmy boy just running around somewhere.
Can't we just go back on the other side of the bridge?
Which
I
side?
don't think there's a way back.
I was gonna say I think the only way we can go is
No, you
across
just
the bridge.
appeared at the middle of this bridge.
I honestly think the only way is forward.
Position. I don't know.
Just stay at my 6. Stay at my 6. We're going that way.
Okay.
Okay, I kind of look at John. Then I also look at Alistair, remembering that he snatched the pistol away from me. So I keep my eye on him.
Okay.
Alistair,
You guys
if
get
girl
to-
tries anything, shoot her.
You get to an end of the bridge, and there's like an invisible barrier in front of you almost. And it's resistant. But as you get to it and you press against it, it starts to give. And it's like you're being pulled through like a viscous bubble almost. And then as you get through the barrier, all of you do, all 4 of you, you are suddenly in the inner sanctum. In this chamber contains the obscene living relic perched upon a crumbling stone altar that resembles a mass of slimy black tentacles. The tentacles twitch and undulate in between very long stretches of stillness, almost as I'll need you guys each to roll 2d6.
Did you say all of us?
Mm-hmm. I'll roll for the girl.
Okay, I got a 1 and a 4.
I got a 1 and a 5.
1 and a 3.
Okay,
These are
only
all at
Alistair.
disadvantage. We all got 1.
Nope, they're not disadvantaged. Alistair and the girl each have to roll on the insanity table.
What's that?
Roll for the insanity table again. So
Another
the girl, the girl starts ranting and raving about whatever's going on just happened. So she's just like gagging nonstop because she can't talk.
Oh no.
What did you get, Sam, for your
Did-
D6 roll?
So, well, my first roll I got a 1 and a 5. Did you need me to roll another d6?
Yeah, that was just to see if you would go insane or not. And you
Oh,
have
okay, I got a
roll
6. Yep, got a 6.
Oh, well, then the 6 then means nothing happens. So you momentarily feel like going mad, and then you just put it away.
Yikes.
You overcome it. You've seen enough crazy shit today. You're not going to let this fucking break you.
Yeah. All right, but I will try to sort of restrain Vanessa or whatever her name is, unless she's going totally ballistic, and just try to kind of prevent her from running off or hurting herself or touching anything.
I'm looking at the two of you. Don't think anything any less of me for this, but I'm gonna try to knock her out. I'm literally going to hit her.
Yep.
Don't think of me any less than this, and he fucking pistol whips her on the back of the head. You don't have to roll for that. She goes out.
Right, she kind of slumps on me a little bit.
Yeah. You just hit a pregnant woman.
Yes, I just hit a pregnant woman. A crazy pregnant woman.
So yeah, you just have that black tentacly thing up on this, sitting up on the this crumbling stone altar, and every.
You said it was just like a mass of tentacles.
Massive black tentacles, and every few minutes they just kind of twitch and undulate a little bit, but otherwise they don't move.
Yeah, look at Alistair. I can shoot that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot it.
No, I think I would shoot at it too.
I think I would yell as John clobbers the lady and kneel down next to her to see if I could help her out.
Okay.
While they're shooting.
I got a 4.
Don't worry, you don't have to roll. It's not moving.
Oh, okay.
You guys can just unload into it completely, yeah?
Yeah, I'll empty the mag.
And as you do so, it's shaking, and there's an earthquake starts to like tremble. Little bits of stone falling from the ceiling, and it's shaking, and it starts to move now. It starts reaching out in your direction. Okay, gonna reload and shoot some more.
Yes, I'm gonna reload and empty another mag, and I will repeat this process until I'm out of ammo.
Okay. While you're doing that,
I don't imagine I would have another mag, so. Oh, sorry.
You got a revolver, so you don't have a mag at all, right?
No, I grabbed the gun from.
You did, yeah, that's right. You did, that's right.
So
yeah.
I still have the revolver, but I would have fired both of them probably.
Okay. So you're checking on the girl, Jack, and the ground begins to tremble, and she, like, all of a sudden her eyes shoot wide open, and she looks at you, and her mouth opens wide, and is still basically like a tongueless scream. If you can imagine what that would sound like. I'm not going to impersonate that because I don't wake my girls up. And all of a sudden, her like back arches, and her legs spread wide.
Don't do it.
She starts to go into violent labor.
I knew it.
She starts like thrashing around, and a couple of tentacles shoot out from between her legs, and one of them grabs for you and misses you. And this is as as John is unloading his second mag into the black tentacle creature. The other tentacle pulls out and like grabs onto like a little kind of stalagmite on the ground and starts to pull itself out of her. And this like amorphous, globulous kind of thing starts to ooze out of this woman, and as it does, it grows and grows, and it basically splits her like a wishbone, and you hear the cracking and popping of her as she tears open.
I scream as all this ooze and blood and stuff just like splatters all over me when she splits.
And it looks kind of like a man-sized version, and by the time it gets completely out of her and is completely torn her in half, pretty much. Like at least up to her neck. It's about man-sized, and it looks just like the creature that was depicted on that wall. So it's kind of scaly, and it's got all these tentacles, and it's got almost like a dragon-like head, but it's It's got 7 eyes, which are kind of spider-like, and yeah, it's got a bit of a carapace on its back and some kind of wings, like insect-like wings. And yeah, violently you start. What do you guys want to do? By this point in time, John, you can turn around. The tentacles on the altar have stopped writhing. You think you've killed it. Alistair, you can turn around and see what Jack is screaming at, and Jonathan, you probably do the same. What would you like to do?
Hit the mag release, pop another one in there, hit the slide release, and open up on it.
And I think I would sort of pull out the cross that was on my neck and genuinely start praying and just be like, oh my God, what is this? And as I'm praying, I'm sort of screaming at the same time. So it just like in that same kind of panic that I think Jack is screaming at. So.
You guys there? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with your internet connection.
It's because I'm using the stupid group chat thing.
Oh, okay.
It always fucks with me. Okay. Okay, so you were kind of screaming and praying, Alistair, yeah? John is emptying another mag into the creature. What about Jack? What are you going to do, Jack?
Start scooting away on my butt, kicking away.
You think you actually see an opening at the other end of the sanctum, as the temple's falling apart, and you think you can see the light of the sun.
Oh, so the ground's still shaking and stuff too while this is going on?
Oh, yeah. It's intensifying.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. Okay, all right. I'll try to stagger to my feet and make it towards the light.
Okay. John and Alistair, you guys are both there. Roll initiative. Creatures on 2.
5.
5.
Okay. Go ahead and roll to hit, John, for your attack this time, because this thing is resisting.
5.
Okay, that's enough to. Well, it's tougher than that, so it's not going to completely incapacitate it, but you do some pretty bad damage. So you're shooting it, and it's backing away from you. Alistair, what would you like to do?
Do I see the sort of entrance or the exit to this place and that light and see kind of Jack heading that way?
You can if you wish to, yeah. If you look over at Jack, you'll see him running for this crack that's opened in one of the walls and light shining from the other side of it.
Yep. Being that, my whole thing is about self-preservation, I would head towards that. And I don't have any weapons or ammo left, so I would start running that way as well.
Okay. You start to run that way. The creature then only has one target. I rolled a 5. So it knocks the gun out of your hand with a tentacle and wraps another tentacle around your leg and pulls you in towards it, knocking you prone. Jonathan?
Shit.
Jack and Alistair, you guys make it out through the crack and into the jungle, and before you know it, you're running through the jungle, and you can look back over your shoulders. You see the temple collapsing in upon itself. Alistair, because you did destroy the altar version of it, all this thing can do, it can't really complete the full-on ritual, but what it can do is it can pull you up and basically cuddle you up against it as you're both crushed to death by the collapsing temple.
Me or Jonathan?
Jonathan.
Oh, okay.
Thereby fulfilling Josh's legacy of Call of Cthulhu characters who don't make it out through an investigation alive.
There you go.
But I always save people.
That's true. And Jack and Alistair, you can just watch as the temple basically crumbles into nothingness. And having said that, you guys did save the day. The world isn't coming to an end today.
Not yet, right?
Not today.
Excellent. I feel like some Final Fantasy victory music is in order.
And I hit the trifecta.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
3 for 3. And that's the end of the Outer Presence. So,
Awesome.
what do you guys think of the system and of the adventure? I'll let you kind of go one at a time, and kind of do a little outro if you wish as well. So I'll let you go first, Dave.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. System is super easy. It just, it doesn't intrude on the story or the narration at all, so I'm all for it. So thumbs up for me. And as far as this whole story went, I thought it was pretty good. I usually kind of shy away from Cthulhu stuff because of what happened. But I really had a good time. I enjoyed playing with these two guys. The characters were really interesting, and I had a good time. So thumbs up for me.
Cool. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I've not really done a lot of Cthulhu myself, but I found it really interesting. Was most of that storyline actually what Venger wrote, or did you add a lot of it?
No, I didn't add too much. I mostly stuck with what he had written. I added maybe a little bit of things here and there, and I might have kind of changed things up a little bit, like a Lord of the Rings edit where I had different people saying things, and
Yeah.
like you guys chose not to investigate the telegrams or anything, or research the first expedition at all at the university before going on the flight. So I revealed some of that through later exposition, through the medicine man who came and talked to you, and through what was it else that I did? I did something else too to reveal. Oh yeah, I actually had Dr. Steiner say to you one of the things that would have been in one of the telegrams if you'd found it. You know what I mean? The thing where he starts talking about the thing living within the temple and how he has to become part of the outer presence.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, but no,
Nice.
pretty much I stuck to what he had written. There's little things in there that I borrowed from him. Like little notes that he had done. Like the medicine man isn't actually technically written into the adventure, but he talks about how it's something that he had added himself to kind of give the characters somebody who could speak English they could talk to. So I like that idea, and I went with that. I went with that in the first playtest as well. And then also the pregnant woman, the whole giving birth thing. I improvised. Like he says, you can do with that whatever you want, and that's what I wanted to do. So.
Yeah, that was definitely messed up. So well done. Yeah, I liked it. The system is really interesting. I would be curious to see the mechanics of it because, yeah, I mean it's weird to me. Just roll a d6. There you go. But yeah, it really worked. I think the story was first, and I think that was really cool. So I liked it.
Cool. What about you, Josh?
Definitely a very simple system that puts storyline first, and and something like investigative horror that's really, really good. And that's story should be first, and you shouldn't have too much crunch. Very simple to learn, easy to use. Leave it to you to always put in that extra creepy dramatic flair.
Well, I can't claim total originality on the birth thing either. I borrowed heavily from Lamentations of the Flame Princess game. I watched Tim Harper run on YouTube, so he does sick and twisted shit even better than I do.
Yeah, I wouldn't ever want to see you two run a game together. That would be creepy. Probably have nightmares. But definitely fun. I had a good time. Love playing with these two guys, even though I just met one of them tonight. He played an awesome character, and that's all that counts. Had fun. Awesome time.
Cool. Well, thanks for playing. Thanks anybody who takes time to watch this, and check out these guys on YouTube as well. You can see David Sems on YouTube. He's got some good Fate content, Fate games, and was it Chewing the Fate? Was that video you did? You could probably, if you can't figure out how to spell David Sems, you can find him that way. Google YouTube search Chewing the Fate. Sam runs a channel called Chalice and Chains. Should be simple enough to find him on there. So check him out. He's got some recent Fate content as well, and some D&D 5e stuff. And then Josh runs the channel Art of D20, where he's done some introductory kind of videos for new players to Dungeons and Dragons, 5th edition specifically. Yeah, so thanks for playing, guys, and yeah, I'll see you next time.
All right, thanks for the invite. Have fun.